Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Hey guys, welcome again to Birds of a Feather here on A2D Radio. Brought to you here live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMW of AC.com. Also by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountant, gibsonmayer.com, streamsmart.com. We're going to get right into the Twitter poll question before we really get in. And obviously, Cowboys week, huge week. Woo! Poll question is brought to you by ScanzanoSports.com. Our Twitter poll question this week: what should the running back rotation be going forward and into the playoffs? Your options here: Ajayi is the lead back, Blunt is the lead back, even timeshare between Ajayi, Blunt, and Clement, or play the hot hand. So, yeah, guys, definitely jump in, contribute. We're looking forward to talking to you. I'm Michael Chromiak here with Chux, Charles Moranin, and our guest this week, contributor to NBC Sports Philly in writing. We have Paul Hudrick. Paul, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, man, we're looking forward to it. Paul's awesome in what he does. If you get a chance, check out some of his writings.
Okay.
On Philly Sports, on NBC Sports Philly. And a lot of you guys from the original Birds of a Feather are very familiar with Paul and his contributions.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Paul's awesome.
So, guys.
You guys are, it's just way too much hype already. It just started, guys.
Is that headset fitting you right now?
I don't know. Yeah, right? I do have even literally have a large head and figuratively so.
But, guys, what a week, man. I mean, we talked about it. We hyped it up all week on all of our content here on A2D. We really put it to the Cowboys this week. I know it was a tale of two halves, really, but I think that we showed that we are the elite of this division. Charles, what did you have, or how did you see the game play out as far as first half and then into the second half?
Well, exactly what you said, tale of two halves. We were all, I was at the bar, and all of us quiet, all Eagles fans quiet, because 9-7 at halftime, we couldn't do anything. The offense wasn't moving. We looked flat. Play calling was bad. They went really pass happy. Shades of Andy Reid all over again, and we didn't know what was going on. But second half, just like that, it felt like they just flipped the switch, and it was back to the dominating Eagles team that we have seen all year. The offense was clicking, running the ball down the Cowboys' throats. They couldn't stop us. Defense creating more turnovers, getting pressures. They couldn't run the ball on us. They had a few big runs, and credit to them, they really stuck with the run to try to use that kind of formula that they had when Zeke was still in the lineup, to try to get some momentum off of that, get that more comfortable, get pressure off of them. But there were several plays we just stuffed them, and so you can't say enough about the adjustments that Doug Peterson made. It's amazing what they did in that second half. 30-0, guys. 30-0. That's a score that you don't often see in full games this year out of any team. Okay, you don't see that often in games around the league, 30-0, let alone one half against a division opponent with everything on the line. So great job, great second half by the Eagles and the coaching staff.
Yeah, what do you have, Paul?
So I definitely a tale of two halves, and then also it's kind of funny. I see it sort of twofold. In a way, this has sort of been their formula where earlier in the game, the offense I believe they do lead the league in first quarter points scored.
Yeah.
There has been kind of this the last few weeks where it's the offense kind of sputters out of the gate and the defense just keeps them in for the first portion of the game. Then they just kind of take over. Then I also look at it as coming off the bye, I just flat out think they were rusty. I think the offensive line had a little bit of trouble just kind of getting forward, and then Carson looked a little bit off, not egregiously off, but in the second half he was putting the ball where it had to be. And then, again, defensively, they just were tremendous.
Yeah,
the defensive line is ridiculous right now. They're firing on all cylinders. And like we were just discussing off the air, their cornerback situation this year compared to last year is ridiculous in a good way. And Ronald Darby, man, when they made that deal, I was one of the people who absolutely loved it, thought it was a great move. And he kind of showed you that first play with Dez where he just out-muscled him for the ball. I mean, that's exactly why you make a trade for Ronald Darby.
I mean, the guy's 190-something pounds, and I mean, he was playing like a big boy out there. You know, he tackles. He wraps the guy up. He makes plays. Real quick, I want to give a shout-out. Joseph Stinger out there in Brooksville, Florida. Brother, thank you for checking us out from Brooksville. But, yeah, I mean, it was just I felt like the first half they got away from their typical offensive game plan. You know, they weren't getting the traction with the running game off the bat, so it was almost kind of like watching an Andy Reid game, falling back into getting pass happy. I'm with you. I do think there was a little bit of rusty legs on the defense. I thought that Dallas actually looked pretty strong coming out of the gate in their first drive or two. But, you know, we're really solid, obviously, down. When we start getting in the red zone, our defense is shut down. And I felt like they stepped up and the magnitude of the situation and of the game kind of just clicked in for them, and it was full sail all the rest of the way. And I'm with you on that, Charles. I mean, that's the thing that I really was concerned about with Doug. What kind of a coach is he going to be when they have a little bit of adversity going in at halftime? How's Doug going to be as far as making the necessary adjustments? And he proves it time and time again. He comes out, he makes adjustments. Even when they have leads, he comes out and makes adjustments to some of the things that they didn't go as well in the first half. And, I mean, you guys know I was definitely a Doug hater going in, and he's making me a believer this year. I will still, and Tom will probably shake his head at me, I'm still cautious with this whole Doug. I got to see the full year play out. Once I see the full year play out, I will jump fully on board. But, you know, the bus just pulled up, and I put a foot on the bus. So I'm starting to grab the handrail to get on.
So you don't think 9-1 and having an MVP candidate who he's kind of groomed, you don't think that's not enough for you?
No, it's just about there. But I have to be strong, and I said in the beginning of the year, and I'm going to stick to it, I want to see a full year of it. I mean, obviously for me, regardless, he's done an amazing job this year, and I don't expect that to change. So I expect to fully, you know, take my foot out of my mouth. But, you know, I mean, I think they've looked really great. And I want to get up to Facebook real quick because people are definitely getting in.
What's funny is I didn't – obviously it's the first time, so you guys are having the Facebook. I'm like, oh, okay. This is what we do. This is what we're doing here. All right, cool.
Getting to the Twitter poll question. Mike Minatola, what up, Mike? Keep the rotation as is with fresh legs all the time. I'm with that. Rob Povia, Ajayi as lead back. I mean, if you're going to make a decision – I think Ajayi would be the lead back. But, again, we talked about it last week. I think it's going to be more situational. I think Ajayi is probably going to be the starter. But I don't know if this team has a lead back. You know, obviously I think Corey Blunt's your guy who's going to be the game he's going to be the closer in games, as he should be. But I think that, you know, that it's a great problem to have right now.
Great problem.
It really is. I mean, Corey Clement, the way he's playing this year, you know, a guy coming out of nowhere, and a lot of people weren't really sure what to expect. He had a lot of detractors thinking, oh, we're bringing the local guy in, and then maybe that's, you know, what he was, you know, brought in because he was a local guy. No, it's proving to be definitely he's a contributor to this team. He definitely has a role in this team.
If we're talking foot and mouth stuff, and you could find it on my Twitter page. I got nothing to hide. I'm transparent, man. I didn't think Corey Clement had a chance in hell to make this team.
Hey, me
I really didn't.
We agreed on that, Paul.
Yeah,
we agreed.
And I liked Corey. I liked him a lot at Wisconsin. I thought he showed a lot. And kind of the one thing that I've been reiterating throughout is it's obvious to anyone who watches football, Corey Clement is not the most physically gifted runner on this football team. But what he has is patience and vision. Those are two things you can't necessarily just see to the naked eye. That's something you actually have to be watching games and really intently noticing. But he might have the best patience and the best vision of any running back on the roster. And I think that's what's made the huge difference. They have a line that blocks. That is an excellent run-blocking line. I think one of the knocks on Clement coming out was he only picks up for what's blocked for. Well, if your offensive line can block, then that works out really well, doesn't it?
And he's shown to improve in a lot of areas. I think one of the other knocks, I mean, you're more attuned to the college, people coming in as a rookie class. I always bounce ideas off of you, thoughts off of you. But I think one of the knocks on him was also as a receiver and a pass blocker coming out of Wisconsin. And
Definitely.
those were things that in the preseason, I thought were very, very questionable too. I didn't think he would look smooth catching the ball. I think pass blocking was a major concern. And you can argue that it kind of is. But the thing is with him that I've seen over the past few weeks that I have to give him credit for is that he's improved in that area.
Yeah.
Like he's really improved in that area a lot, especially as a receiver out of the backfield. And to your point, he does have great patience and vision. I think that's what makes up for his lack of physical talent. Because you see him like there are what was it against the Broncos game, his one touchdown off the screen pass.
Yeah.
He played that beautifully. It
Perfect
looked like
example.
Westbrook back there. And then this, I think he had another one, the 2-point conversion, where they flanked everyone out to the right.
The diamond formation, which the rare diamond formation, that was awesome.
Beautifully set up, and Corey used his blockers very well.
Yeah.
I think that is a great point that you make. And I agreed with you at the preseason. I was like, he's just a guy. But the thing is, he's come in and proved himself.
For the record, I never said he was just a guy, but I did. but I never thought he was going to make. I just thought with with everything it's so funny like Donnell Pumphrey, who is that right now? But like that's we were all everyone was convinced
last week. Who's Donnell Pumphrey?
Yeah, I remember everyone was so upset because everyone's like, oh man, they're going to have to stash him. They're going to have to do this, that, and the other thing. And they kind of worked out
it's a
for the best,
now.
unfortunately for him. But and then you got a guy like I still think Wendell Small is a pretty talented guy, and he's can't even get activated. Yeah,
he's
it's
the odd man out right now. Real quick on the YouTube, we got comments. David Roscoe, what's up, boys? Rams 8-3 this Sunday. What up, David? We'll get to the Rams later on and all the other NFC teams.
Yeah, and real quick too on Facebook, Kevin Godwin also said teams are dangerous. Who scares you into the playoffs and into the Super Bowl out of the AFC? We'll address all that the second half of the show.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get into after we get through Cowboys week, a beautiful Cowboys week.
Yeah. Jacob Bloss says Ajayi needs to get the ball more before playoffs, and Doug's been great, really creative with his plays. Bleeding Green says our D showed up from the opening bell. This is what a complete team looks like, and it's a great feeling knowing if the offense isn't clicking on all cylinders that the D will hold strong until they do. And that's a great point. And that's what makes us the best team in the league right now is we can beat you so many different ways, but we don't have to rely on just the offense or just the defense. Back to rally off what you said about the running back rotation and our poll question and what Jacob Bloss said, Ajayi needs to get the ball more before the playoffs. I on my blog, chucksmiranda.blogspot.com, if you want to check me out, I started doing a weekly breakdown of Ajayi, and I just posted the one for this past game just before the show. And the thing is, from my opinion and the way I see this running back rotation is, I think for now it's good to have them rotating, play the hot hand if you want to. But the thing is, when it gets close to playoff time, I think Ajayi needs to be that lead guy, getting 15 to 20 carries. Because when I look at the film and I see on the All-22, the stuff that Ajayi can do, he's in another league compared to Blunt and Clement. And what I've seen is, yes, he's had issues with certain with vision, with hitting the right running lane. So like last weekend, this week, he's missed a few running lanes where a big run could have been even bigger from what I've seen. But the thing is, if he can get a more consistent feel of the offense and our line and prove his instincts and vision, he is physically capable to do things that they just can't do. Like this guy, I said it last week and I can't stop saying it. This guy is a big guy, but he is so nimble and so quick on his feet. And his burst, his top end speed is not great, and that's why, again, this week he got brought down from behind, got tracked down. His top end speed isn't great, but that burst initially through that hole catches defenses by surprise so many times.
In his defense, he got caught by a guy who ran a sub 4.4 in Byron Jones.
Oh
I said that. There's nothing embarrassing about that. It's Byron Jones.
Yeah.
We all we were talking about Byron Jones possibly being a draft pick a couple years ago by the Eagles.
I love Byron Jones. Yeah.
He's an athletic freak, and there's no shame in getting caught down. So like I said, 71 yards is 71 yards. It's still a long run.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about Ajayi. I think that going forward, keep him fresh, get him acclimated to the offense little by little. That's perfectly fine. But hey, come the playoff time, wherever, if we get the first round bye or not, I want Ajayi getting the touches because I believe this running game will be at its max strength if Ajayi is the lead guy.
Oh,
Can I jump for
Here
a
we
minute?
go. Absolutely.
Charles,
Here we
Charles,
go.
Hey,
what
let
the,
me-
Charles, let me. What, the running game will be elite. We're putting up 200 yards rushing on two.
Can't it get better?
Back to back.
Can't it get better?
Well, isn't it?
180 yards in the second half
Isn't
this
it?
week.
I don't disagree with you that Ajayi's not obviously the best out of the three. I mean, I don't think anybody's questioning that, but it's working so well right now where you got that New England little feel to it.
Yeah.
Where now teams, and you know game planning because this is something you study a lot. Now teams can't game plan for one guy. They don't know who they're going to get in different spots, and I think that's why it's working so much better. And two, obviously keeping these guys fresh. But I love the way it's working right now. Like Garrett's your pounder in the second half. He's a guy who come in when defenses are worn out, and now you got to deal with the hammer. You know, Corey's the change of pace guy. Obviously does well in third down situations, can catch the football, and Jay's explosive. And so is Corey to a point too. So they all bring a little something different, and they all, when you all put them together and you mash them up, it's something real special. So I understand what you're saying, 15 touches, fine. But I don't think you need to, for other people out there, I don't think you need to be the cowbell. He doesn't need to get the ball 25, 30 times a game. You know,
I didn't say that.
No, I'm just saying to the people. That's what I said.
Yeah.
To the people out there who are thinking cowbell to what you're saying, 15 to 20, don't go over that. I mean, I would say 15 is a great number.
Yeah, 15 and touches,
touches,
carries and
touches.
catches. Yeah,
So I
Absolutely.
agree with you, but I agree with you to a
Put
point.
a disclaimer out there.
I'm just putting it to the people because I know
I
they're
hear you.
going to die. They love Ajayi, and they should, but they're going to die for that cowbell 25, 30. You know, Miami already talked about knee issues to begin with.
Yeah.
So if I can keep this guy as fresh as he can be when I still have him for another year or two.
Agree.
You got to create
know,
longevity.
Well,
And
just-
you have the capability to do that now because you have the personnel in place. There
Yeah.
may be a time where we don't have this kind of a three-headed, or if Smallwood somehow gets consistency under his belt, a four-headed monster that you can run these guys. Yeah. You know, this is the time where you can keep him fresh going forward and don't have to pound him into the ground like you saw so many teams do, like a DeMarco Murray, you know, where he had that monster year.
And then flames
I'm
out.
not saying he was used
Ajayi
greatly
last year.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. They used him, abused him. He carried them into the playoffs last year, and obviously their inability at the quarterback position to get anything done
Or an offensive
hurts
line.
them. Offensive line, the whole nine. But no, I mean I agree with you. But then I'm telling the people like
don't
brother,
go overboard. Don't read
don't
into
go-
it because Blunt. I'm saying Blunt and Clement are great. Having these three guys is a great problem to have, and no way am I saying that they should be shunned and it's just Ajayi. No, I'm definitely not saying that because I agree with you and you. Blunt in the fourth quarter, who's going to stop him in the fourth quarter? What tired defense is going to stop him in the fourth quarter? And Clement has proven himself to be a touchdown scorer. He gets into the end zone. So don't take them off the field. I'm just saying you have to start to get, you traded fourth round pick for him. This guy is obviously the best physical talent that we have at running back. Use him. Use him when it counts.
And you look at like this is kind of like a bigger conversation I guess we're kind of having. Running back situation in the NFL and the running back position and where it is. And Tom brought up the Patriots, and you look at other teams around the league. Look at the Steelers. They have Le'Veon Bell, who, in my opinion, I don't care who you got. To me, he's the best running back in the NFL right now.
We agree with way too
They
much.
drafted James Conner, and James Conner's a pretty good back, and they're going to give him a little bit more. And it's not, like you said, it's not a knock on Le'Veon Bell or about the kind of – I mean, granted, he held out, and that's, I guess, a little bit more extenuating circumstances there. Yeah. But – you know, the point is they still have a contingency plan, and most teams do. And look at the Cardinals. They lose David Johnson, they were screwed. They had nothing.
No
so now it's you can't have too much depth at any position. So like you said, this is such a good problem to have. And as that Sunday's game is proof, depth is what separates really good teams from great teams.
Well, look at the comparison of the Eagles and the Cowboys.
That's what I'm saying.
We're losing. You know, there's similar injuries. You know.
Yeah.
Hicks and Sean Lee, Jason Peters and Tyron Smith. You know, we obviously, I don't know if you put them on the same level, but Zeke and Sproles. But it's next man up. Next guy steps in. We talk about that all the time. And now I heard Doug start using that. Next man up in his postgame. That's the mentality that this team has because guys like Howie have built this team to be able to succeed no matter or overcome adversity no matter pretty much what it is.
Yes.
The only one, knock on wood, and I'm not even going to mention it because I don't want to put it out there, there's only one injury I feel like would really crush us.
Yeah.
So, and that proved when we did put the other person in.
Yeah.
But
You got Facebook comments? I got a bunch of YouTube
Yeah,
ones.
well, just to get out there, Ishmael Rodriguez called it last week, 3 interceptions, 4 sacks, 40-23 Eagles. Shout out to Mark Kelleher. Mark said, I wasn't quiet first half, Charles. Come on.
What?
Maybe it was something
That sounded
I missed.
directed at you, man.
But Mark's the man. Thanks for joining us, Mark. We love you, brother. Mark is the best guy to watch a football game with, by the way.
Oh, okay. Now I know what he's saying. Okay, because he
Jesus.
was loud the whole time.
Yeah.
Mark, you were. Okay, and I was right there with you. I'm just saying the rest of the bar, quiet. So.
Listen. When the Eagles are up by 30 points and they're giving up 20 yards in passing and prevent defense, you'd think that they were losing by 15 points. He freaks out. He's that guy. It's a wonderful thing to watch.
Nonstop. I love him.
Thanks for joining us, Mark. We love you, brother.
So YouTube, we got let's see.
John Miller's a dick. Carrot face needs to take pointers from Charles. Get over it, John. I didn't go to the bar, and he's so pissed. He's been spamming my social media. I love you, John, but you're a dick.
Hot 24/7. Yo, the best celebration by far is the Barner robbing the safe and handing stacks of money to his teammates and making it rain. By far, that was funny. I didn't know what he was doing at first, but Edgar Venzo, do you think Ajayi is going to start to complain about the number of touches?
No.
90. Yeah, I don't
not
think
right
so.
now.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe
Not
next
with
year.
the way.
If they come out slow out of the gate next year, maybe.
The
but
one
not this
one
year.
clip of him from Sound Effects where they showed him on the sideline in the Broncos game, and he's talking to his teammate. I forget what teammate it was, but he's just like, "Man, I'm just so happy to be here. I've been on the other side, and it was not fun." Like, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but he's just happy to be on a winning team. He wants to win. So
And that's what he came in saying.
That's what he came in
I
for.
did want to just drop this in because Mark's wife has now contributed to the Facebook post, and she put, "No, it's not wonderful to watch. My ears are still bleeding." Love you, Shannon.
That's awesome.
J-90. I hope the city starts getting colder so our run game can start punishing people. Amen. J-Hot 24/7. Everybody on this team is eating. You got to love it all involved, all in. Jacob Bloss. Yeah, everybody's contributing. We got some others. We got a bunch of stuff by Jacob Bloss and J Lash. Thanks, guys, for contributing. J Lash, Saints defense only looks good because they are a bit better than what they have been in past years. Take away their run game with our number one run defense and let our D-line attack Breeze and force passing. We'll get into great stuff. We'll get into it. We'll mention all of that later on, but it is a good thing to bring up later on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the Saints just took a big hit this week, so we'll go into that injury as well. And again, it's like week after week, it seems like, these things are happening to the teams that we're talking about every week that are going to be, who's going to be giving us that push in the playoffs. And, I said it before, I don't wish injuries on anybody, but if it happens, I'm not mad about it, unfortunately. So, but no, I mean, it was a great game. I mean, they look great, and we already started talking about Ronald Darby. I mean, Darby came in, finally got to see like the first full game, and I mean, looking at it from the Cowboys' perspective, I felt like Dak definitely was rattled, and then you started seeing him forcing the ball into Des Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, over and over and over.
They were attacking Darby.
And
they were deliberately
they went
attacking
after Darby, and Darby just,
Well,
he manned up on him.
The ratio was terrible. How many? It was like 12 targets Des had, and he had like 8 catches for 60 yards.
Yeah.
And like 20 of them were on a garbage
It was
catch at the end of the game.
Dink
Like,
and dunk and all that. Yeah.
It's funny, man, because Des Bryant to me was a guy that you, like, as an Eagles fan, you looked at and you were like, man, I wish I had a guy like that. And now you look at it and it's like, man, he looks
Bradley
like
Fletcher?
a shell of himself.
Des got
Yeah, like
Remember
that
what he
came-
did to Bradley
oh,
Fletcher?
man.
Des
Well,
got-
to be fair, a lot of people did
I
that to
know.
Bradley Fletcher.
I'm just saying.
but Des got really old really fast.
Really
I
quick.
feel like I feel like when he started taking the turn down, it was just like an overnight, and it's showing. I mean, his age is starting to show as far as on the field. I think Terrence Williams is a better wide receiver than he is.
Yeah,
So
we'll see. I mean,
I'm not going to go that far, but
at this point right now, I would feel more confident throwing the football to him than
I
I
don't
do
take either right now.
to Des. Well, that's a good. I mean, I'll take anybody on our team, including Matt Collins for Tommy Boy over there over any of them right now.
Matt Collins, man. Matt Collins was a guy, by the way, I was very high on in the draft process. Very, very
You
high.
were, and I will say that
I
you were
love
very
Matt
high on
Collins.
Max
You
to
were.
begin with.
I didn't know anything about Matt Collins, and I was like, Paulie, what's the deal with this guy?
Matt Collins is a stud in NC, man. He just didn't. It was a combination of opportunity and injuries, man. He just couldn't stay healthy. But
Now,
but
real quick, because I know we touched on this in the other shows, and I brought it up. One, what would you compare Matt Collins' skill set to? And two, would you start to give a lot of Torrey Smith snaps and reps to Matt Collins going forward?
I definitely think that Matt Collins has earned reps. That's a really tough question because as much as they have the similar skill set in the sense that they both can take the top off of defense,
Yes.
I think the fact that Torrey Smith has been around longer and I think there's some nuanced stuff that maybe we don't see behind the scenes that Torrey Smith can do. Because Torrey Smith's the kind of guy who doesn't have to actually make a catch in order to impact the game.
I agree.
He's just taking
Totally
the top off of
agree.
defense. That's a reason why Zach Ertz has the yardage he has. There's a reason why our backs can get open out of the backfield. Torrey Smith affects the game without actually catching the football, which is huge. Not to say Matt Collins can't do that, but I don't know that Matt Collins is where Torrey Smith is.
No.
And not that Torrey Smith is like this great polished route runner, but one knock on Matt Collins coming out of North Carolina is their route tree isn't exactly sophisticated.
You can see that too.
Yeah, but with that said, you see a lot of the quick for a dude who's 6'4", his footwork is like he has quick feet. When you're asking me to compare him to somebody, man, that's really tough because he has a really rare skill set and that he's got that great. He's got length, he's got size, but he's also fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really difficult guy to kind of compare. Like off the top of my head, I really can't think of anyone. You kind of got me here. I'll be honest. No, but as far as I wouldn't mind seeing him worth more into the offense for sure.
No,
but it kind of goes back to the running back thing too, where all these guys. You even see Marcus Johnson hasn't made. I think he's only got a couple of catches, but even he's getting reps. So I mean, Doug seems to like what he's doing. He seems to know what he's doing. So I'm cool with just letting it ride out and kind of letting these guys play and seeing where it all falls.
No, and I mean, I don't think you make drastic changes at this point with success anyway. And I think it's not to say that Matt Collins can't be the incumbent to that position or that role on the team, but I do think there's a lot to be said too that he's also. I mean, he's successful because of his skill set and because he has a guy like Carson throwing him the football. But I also believe that he's successful because he hasn't been overexposed yet.
Yeah.
So I think if when the time comes, whether it's next year, whether it's the following year, when they make that decision, okay, Matt Collins, he's going to be that deep, the guy that we're going to shoot down the field. He's going to be streaking down the field and spreading the offense out as far as downfield. A full preseason or a full training camp to be able to prepare for that position in the offense, I think that is when you'll really start to see him flourish. Yeah. But I would be concerned putting him in there now, and I don't think that sends a good message to the team either, that you're having success and one of your veteran leaders that you bought in to be a leader on the field, you're taking him out, I don't want to say unjustly, but really unjustly, during a successful time right now.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. I think it's a great point about Torrey as a leader and people underestimate that kind of stuff. But he is a leader. He's a leader among that receiver group. It's him and it's Alshon. And really, he's more experienced than Alshon. He's been in bigger games than Alshon.
There's no coincidence right now that Nelson Aguilar is starting to really come into his own, and it's when you put guys like an Alshon Jeffrey around him, like a Torrey Smith around him. I think that creates success kind of radiates off of those kind of guys, like a LeGarrette Blount. We saw it with Brian Dawkins for how many years. I mean, I wouldn't say he lost a step, but the team felt like at that point it was time to make a move. But I think that hurt to take that leadership out of there. And you had a lot of young defensive backs and guys who were in the safety position and secondary, who I think missed having that voice to motivate these guys and tell these guys and teach them on the field of what they did wrong, what they could have done better, and kind of break down those plays.
Yeah.
So I think it's not even a question at this point of is Matt Collins, should he be getting more reps or more, running more routes than Torrey Smith at this point. Torrey, you got to ride it out with Torrey this season. And I still think the guy still has something in the tank as far as contributing on the field. And I totally agree. I don't care what you say. The guy still spreads the offense.
He still has speed. He definitely still has deep speed. Not going to deny that.
Yeah,
I agree.
I mean, it's an interesting point to bring up, but again, when when you're this successful, to me, that's a nitpick.
Yeah, you don't want to mess
It
with
is
the
a
formula,
nitpick,
man.
yeah.
The formula
It
they
is a
got you this
nitpick.
far. You don't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
So, getting back to Facebook real quick. Michael Dandria. Michael, what up, buddy? As much as I want them to keep winning, I also would like to see how this team responds off of a loss. I don't want to see them respond off a loss. I want them to keep rolling. You know, we did see them respond off of a loss. They lost a tough game to Kansas City, and they've been rolling ever since. And I think at this point in the year, when you are going after the number 1 seed and home field advantage in the playoffs,
You need every.
you can't. Yeah, I mean, at that point, that's irrelevant.
Well,
But
not only
I
that-
understand what he's saying. You want to push this team, and you want to see what these guys have as far as adversity. But to me, losing to a tough team like Kansas City, they did bounce back, and they did show what they have after a loss.
Nobody talks about like the adversity of losing Pro Bowl caliber players all over your roster.
That is a loss.
You know what I mean?
That's essentially a loss.
adversity right there. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you rebound from losing an all-pro middle linebacker? You know, an all-pro Hall of Fame left tackle, an all-pro-ish Hall of Fame caliber running back. I mean, you lost a lot. You know, an all-pro special teamers and Maragos. You lost a lot of captains, a lot of
did.
kickers on the football team.
Your
A
kicker.
kicker, he say, screw it. I'm just going to convert 3 2-point conversions. And maybe I was thinking just, hey, we don't even need a kicker anymore. Just go over to every time. We're on fire.
Think that would be a bold strategy. Think about that. Let's just have a really ace special teamer kick the hell out of the ball in the end zone. Then you have an extra guy in coverage to cover the kicks. I'm just saying.
Hey, I thought the kickoffs were great. They had no issues
Yeah.
with
They were
that.
Wow, his leg.
Are you
is-
kidding me?
Yeah.
Great extension.
I didn't realize it was him until some point. I'm like, yeah, that was our linebacker. I was like, wait, what?
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
that was
Kyle
Hill.
Grugier Hill. It's great,
The
man.
hell?
Well, see, I think too, a lot of these guys have been through adversity last year with this team. They lost.
Yeah.
They lost plenty of games last year, and a lot of those guys are still here. And the guys have been, and even the guys they brought in, Torrey's had a little bit of success. A guy like Alshon, what's Alshon ever won?
I mean,
Alshon hasn't won anything.
I mean, how bad did the
Gary
team
won a
look?
Super Bowl, but
How bad did the team look last year when you lost Lane Johnson? They looked like a bunch of they all looked lost on offense.
Yeah.
And poor Carson is kind of the sitting duck in the backfield. So, I mean, we've seen them overcome adversity. A lot of these guys did return this year and were part of that losing culture last year. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I don't want to see them lose a game at this point.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, it would have been nice if the Redskins would have did us a favor this week. But unfortunately, things don't fall as they
man,
may.
that's great. So that was crazy, man. I thought the Saints had the thing sewn up. I really did. I thought, and that, like we were talking about that earlier too off the air, that's the best game I think I've ever seen Kirk Cousins play.
Yeah.
Oh, he looked
He
phenomenal.
looked
really good.
Other
man.
than the
I'm not putting
intentional-
the loss on him.
Oh,
No,
the
other than that
that
intentional
was
grounding
bad.
spot. But take that aside, though. I mean, I don't put that on him. I thought he played amazing. The defense let them down. They let them down big time. And that's a loss on the defense. Not on the offense. Not on Kirk Cousins.
It is. And I
Should have never been in that position
It
for
shouldn't-
that
it
play to
shouldn't
make
have.
such a difference.
shouldn't have.
Agreed.
It shouldn't have. And I've, like I told you guys, I wasn't a big believer in Kirk Cousins going into this season because I thought he played well and
Kirk
stacked up
could have
numbers.
spiked that ball at his feet at that point, though. Let's be
He
realistic.
could. But, I thought that Kirk took advantage and stacked up really big numbers against lower competition. But against good teams, he fell apart. But this season, he's shown more consistency. He's playing well against tough competition. And so seeing that, it's like saying, hey, this guy deserves franchise QB money, whether it's going to be with the Redskins or another team, we'll see. But that's not on him. And at the same time, you just got to look at the Saints and realize they're legit. Like I told
Scary.
you, they are a scary team because not only can they pass now, they can run the ball down your throat.
Well, listen, we talked about it before we came on the air. I mean, Kirk Cousins has, 5,000-yard passing seasons. I mean, the argument can be there is a guy like him or some of the other guys that have been signed. Are they worth $100 million or whatever? The thing is, part of that is when are you a free agent? Are you the best available out there? The next guy is always going to get paid more than the guy who previously did, whether they are the best quarterback.
Yeah.
I heard
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Shannon Sharp made a really great
timing.
point. I heard Shannon Sharp say, the highest paid quarterback is never the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why. I mean, and Kirk Cousins has to me, I really like Kirk Cousins. He has a really good track record. I think he's a good quarterback. I think on a team where he has some better weapons around him. We thought he would have good weapons this year. It's not panning out. I mean, a team I could see him maybe next year going to Denver. Denver would be a
nice fit.
great spot for him.
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
Oh,
If
Jacksonville.
he was on Jacksonville this year, They might be the best
They're
team in the
scary.
AFC.
That would be scary with those weapons.
I mean, he would literally. They would probably, in my opinion, would probably be the best team in the AFC.
Yeah. Thank God.
And you
it's
win
not
with a
this
quarterback.
year.
I mean,
God.
I mean, I know, and people will throw out the Trent Dilfers and the Joe Flaccos. Defense wins Super Bowls, but so do quarterbacks. You need to have a good quarterback, behind center. And I think that Kirk Cousins gets a lot of flack that I don't think he deserves.
Exactly.
I wanted to jump on Facebook real quick because we got some coming in. Jordan Lynch, I'd like to see Ajayi take some of the snaps from Blunt and or Clement. Too dynamic to get 7 touches. Thoughts? We kind of addressed it a little bit earlier, Jordan. At this point, maybe 12 to 15, well, maybe 15 touches is good for him. You don't want to mess with the success. And the way it is right now, I think, it's obvious we talked about it. Corey Blunt's going to probably be the guy at the end of the game who's going to pound the football, and he's going to get a lot of touches that way. I think you go with the hot hand. He's definitely the starter. And I think obviously in certain situations, he's explosive. But this year, you don't mess with success. I think you go with the hot hand. Ishmael Rodriguez against the Rams could be a real close game. I totally agree with that. I like what Goff's doing this year.
As do I.
We'll
I was very high on Jared Goff.
Mark,
we'll address that later.
Mark says I think the Rams are going to come back to early. Come back to earth after last week's loss. I'm more worried about Seattle, even if they don't look great right now. Wilson is still a beast, and they're still capable of being Seattle. I agree with that. We'll definitely break that down, but they lost Cam Chancellor now too, so that's another big hit on that defense. With him and Sherman out. Michael D'Andrea, any word on the Eagles extending Alshon? I haven't heard anything. I don't think they bring him in without some kind of I don't want to say an understanding, but an idea on both sides, or maybe something from a conversation that they're intending on bringing him back. And I think he's starting to now play like an elite wide receiver. Yeah, I know he got a little bit of a slow start that we've talked about a lot, but I think Alshon is now starting to come. Yeah, he's starting to fill that role. And I mean that pass that Carson threaded into him in the end zone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, beautiful catch.
Beautiful pass.
Beautiful catch.
Threading the needle, and what a catch.
Yeah.
In
and
traffic.
he has that big body to shield the way of the defenders, man. It's beautiful.
That's why we brought him in.
Yeah. I can't. I can't remember who reported it today. I know that the locker room was open today, but someone asked Alshon about that, and he basically said, "I want to." And he's been pretty consistent with that message all along, is that he wants to come back here. It's just a matter of his agent and the Eagles working something out.
Yeah.
I mean, he of all the extensions, if I mean, this is me having no inside knowledge. This is just me guessing. I feel like the next guy up would probably be Bradham, just because
that's what I was saying.
His would probably be easier to negotiate. And I think with Alshon, you're not going to. I don't think it's going to be an in-season extension. I think it's going to come in the offseason.
Well, that's interesting too, because we looked at Bradham last week. We were kind of discussing who do we think would be, if there's one candidate that would walk out, take a money deal. Who would it be? And I think Bradham would probably be that guy. And that's not to say, it's a money-hungry type of a move, but I think that he's going to get a lot of money thrown to him this offseason. So if you are going to lock him in, I think you have to do it in season, because if he hits the open market, that's going to be that's going to be tough to retain him.
Exactly.
I think. But no, I mean I think too with Alshon. I mean the way that he came in. And I felt like he did everything right coming in. I mean, he put Carson over like Carson was the next Joe Montana. And maybe he will be. Who knows? But, I mean, he had all the right things to say, and I think it was very sincere in the way that he viewed Carson now and what he envisions that he's going to develop into. And again, I think it's now seeing it kind of come into fruition, and him being a part of it, I think only fuels that. I mean, kudos. Listen, Carson is surrounded by great. He has Frank Reich. He has Doug Peterson. I mean, these guys are doing wonders.
Don't forget John DiFilippo, man.
John DiFilippo.
He's going to be a head coach pretty soon, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think that he's being able to now actually be a part of it, not as a guy from the outside in. He's looking in. Now he's actually in. I mean, seeing that he's able to have a guy who can thread those passes like the one this week.
Yeah.
And, I mean, trust in him that he's going to have the hands. I mean, I think that this team, if they can keep the wide receiver core for the most part together, going out and getting an Ajayi and building, that running game that we have, who's to say that we can't be competitive the next 3-4 years at a high level in the NFC? Kind of like, obviously a similar stretch of what we had in the early 2000s with Andy.
Build
so
something.
I think that, it doesn't hurt having him there now being a part of that success and that development for Carson.
Yeah, and I think and I addressed this weeks ago when we were talking about Alshon and why isn't he producing and everything. And I talked about when I looked at the film, I saw someone who didn't look like the same wide receiver as he was in Chicago. He looked a little slower. His routes weren't being run as well from what I've seen him in Chicago. And when he was in Chicago, I saw a top 10 wide receiver. I wasn't seeing that type of skill set performance in the first, you can say half of the season. But what I've seen now from him is him winning those one-on-one matchups, because he wasn't, as much as people like to push this theme, when I studied the film, he was not getting double covered. He wasn't getting safety over the top. He was one-on-one and wasn't winning the matchups, but now he is. He's showing that you throw it up to him, he will now grab him. He'll make a tough catch. And another thing that someone else brought up that I thought was a beautiful, wrong adjective, but a great, great point was that in this offense, you don't need a number one wide receiver. The offense doesn't go through an elite wide receiver where you're just like Antonio Brown or well, I can't even say Julio anymore. They don't throw him the ball, but like Antonio Brown, they constantly chuck it to Antonio and then run it with Le'Veon. Everyone else gets, targets here and there. But this offense doesn't need that. They don't need a number one elite wide receiver to be the focus. The point of the plan of this offensive scheme, Doug P has shown, is to get mismatches. And in the beginning of the season, it was mismatches for Ertz, mismatches for Aguilar, get them open in the slot in the middle of the field, and take advantage of them on the linebacker and safety. Now you're starting to see more of, okay, now Alshon's one-on-one. Exploit his matchup. So it's more of like you don't have to have, even if Alshon's not playing as an elite wide receiver, he's still a good player, a wide receiver who can stick at the X spot, who can take who can play against press coverage, who can play against one-on-one man coverage against the top corner and win those matchups. So he doesn't need to be elite, and I think that goes more into the conversation later on. Like, do you pay him elite wide receiver money? But
yes.
maybe
I'll already stand that conversation. Yes.
Maybe if he's not, even if he's not playing up to that level, you still sign him because he is producing as our X wide receiver on the outside.
I'll say this though, and it's kind of going back to one of the first things you said. You talked about earlier in the year he wasn't really getting the separation, and I think part of it is too, if you actually watch him Chicago. And even, again, like I'm a draft nerd, so I'm going to keep talking about guys coming out of – when he was coming out of South Carolina, and the reason why he's a second-round pick, he's not a great route runner. He never has been. He's still not a great route runner. And he's the type of guy – he's a 50-50 guy. Mm-hmm. So when he was playing in Chicago with Jay Cutler didn't care. Jay Cutler threw the damn ball up. He didn't care. But now with Carson's smarter with the football, so they had to develop a little bit of that chemistry. Mm-hmm. And I think the first pass where I believe it was the 49ers game where he hit him on the sideline, and Carson, it was a 50-50 ball. He just threw the damn thing up, and Alshon went and got it.
Yeah.
And I think that seemed to be the catalyst of what is really developed. I think that's what it is. I think they just had to develop a little bit more trust. And I think now that that's there, I think they're really clicking, and I think it's only going to get better as the season goes on. So to me, I definitely think I would want to try to keep that going with Alshon in the future.
I want Alshon here. Let me get the point first. I want Alshon here. It's just that you gotta be objective on what you see from the film,
and you can't sign everybody.
You can't sign everybody. But I want Alshon here. I think
I'm being objective of what I'm seeing with my eyes and the success on the football field, and Alshon Jeffrey is a huge reason why we're having success on the football field.
Yes, he is.
Tom's
and the other thing we talked about a couple weeks ago when we first brought his name up is what Paulie said. Chemistry was the one thing we talked about, but learning the new routes, learning a new system. Doug talks about this being an offense takes 5 years for the quarterback to master. So you're thinking, okay, that's probably 2.5 for a wideout to master. That's when we talk about the West Coast offense. For young wide receivers, it's so hard. When you talk about Nelson's first, not first year, but last year being the first year on the West Coast, tough adjustment. And that's the same thing I see with Alshon is, one, the chemistry with Wentz had to grow, and you had to build that. And two, learning the routes, learning the whole route tree, as they like to say, learning all that kind of stuff. Took some time, and I think now you're starting to see him, Doug, one, putting him in routes that fit him better, and designing plays better around him. And I think it's just all growing here.
Yeah, and more to your point, too, it's to start the season, who had the most success in the receiving game? Zach Ertz, Nelson Aguilar. Who spent last season in this offense with Carson Wentz? Zach Ertz, Nelson Aguilar. So it's chemistry, and like you said, it's just knowing the offense and being comfortable in it and not thinking. When you're not thinking, that's when you make plays.
No, and I mean, we just had the conversation about the quarterback. Okay, maybe he's not maybe he's not a top 5 number 1 wide receiver, but to me, Alshon Jeffrey is showing he's at least probably a top 10 number 1 wide receiver. And again, it's whenever you're a free agent. So if he's the best wide receiver available, you pay him that number 1 money.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. He may not be the best number 1 wide receiver, but to me, he's definitely a number 1. And if he's our best option, which he's proving on the field, because now we have the track record of success with Carson, this guy gets the money. And this is the guy that we sign, and this is the guy that we keep here to continue to build on that momentum that they have, on that chemistry that they have, especially with a guy like Nelson. I want Nelson to have that familiar face, a guy who kind of helped him turn it around. I want him to have, and especially if you're letting Torrey Smith go next year, this is a guy I want him to still have that mentorship for the next generation of our wide receivers coming in. Yeah. I think it's invaluable what he's brought to this team, and I don't see any reason to question why you re-sign him.
Yeah.
I did want to get to one Facebook post, and then we're going to jump on YouTube. John Miller, Doug, Frank, etc. all have their fingers on the pulse of the team. Why question how running backs are being used at this point? They're all fresh and strong at this point in the season. Only benefits as the season wears on. 1,000% agree with that, yep. John. They're finding the chemistry to keep everybody fresh on the field. And that's all you can ask for this deep into the season, especially when you're going for a number 1 seed and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So, I mean, I totally agree with you on that, John. Let's hit Facebook or YouTube.
YouTube, yeah, we got a lot rolling in from like 20 minutes ago. So Jacob Bloss asked, what happens to Jalen Mills when Sidney Jones comes back? J Lash 90 and him went back and forth pretty much saying, he probably replaces Robinson, who leaves next year most likely, and then either him or Rasul converts to safety. That's an interesting thought there. So that's talk about the secondary. J-Hot 24/7 again. I talk so much shit about running back by committee, but goddamn, when it works, it works. It's raining production.
True.
Exactly. If it works, it works.
That's true.
Jacob Bloss, we can't lose a game. Saints are on our ass. It's very true. Fuck Lattimore and the Saints. We got the real number 1 cornerback. Lattimore's a bitch. Tom Arnone. Oh, yeah. Chiming in over there, Tom. Let's see. J Lash, seeing Carson Wentz develop the way he has and how him and Alshon are connecting makes me think how if my future son brought home a 9 out of 10 and just brings a tear to my eye because how proud I am. Thing of beauty. Got bunch of stuff.
You
Jacob
don't question
Bloss
your
all
son's
over.
success if he brings a 9 out of 10 home.
Yeah, Jacob Bloss again. I still want another outside wide receiver added in free agency. Maybe a linebacker signing too. We need to fix some cap issues, but Howie knows what he's doing, which we talked about last week.
This is my favorite part when Tom puts the mic down.
Here we go. These guys, like they want more. Like what the hell else? I love Lash. Who said that one?
Was it Jacob? I'm not sure. Is that Lash or Bloss? Jacob Bloss.
Come on. Hey, what the hell else do you want besides a parade down broad? I mean, at this point, I guess I want to be able to, I don't know, have young hot women tuck me into bed every night besides my wife too. You know what I mean? So let's add in. I mean, come on. I mean, you have a 9-1 football team. What else? What in the hell else more could you want? Really, at this point, is there anything like you guys can really say like, damn man, we really need, shit, you can't even be mad at Joe Walker. I mean, there's nothing
I was gonna say
that you can be mad about.
I'd personally say a left tackle, but that's still being my Vitae bias of not really thinking he's that great.
No, but I think
I'm sorry. Let me just preface this by saying he has played extremely well.
He looked great the other night.
Yeah,
yes.
He's played extremely well. But that's if I'm gonna say like my biggest concern going forward, it would be facing a good team in a big game and a really good coach. A really good defensive coach who will find a way to exploit him because I still worry about him a little bit.
But again, I mean,
he's been much, much better than I anticipated.
But anyone's anticipated, yeah.
But again, that was an anticipatory move, knowing that could be a weakness. You have a guy like Ajayi who can block in the backfield at the second level if they get around him. So, I mean, I think that they've made the right moves, and then they went out and signed
Ellerby.
They signed
Will
Ellerby,
Beatty.
They went out and
Or
signed Will Beatty,
yeah.
who is a veteran guy who's played in this division on winning teams. So
Yeah.
Hasn't played well recently, but
Well, I mean, it is. Listen,
He's a
But no, I
depth
hear
signing.
but he's a depth guy.
it's better
you know
than
what I
it's,
mean?
it's not Taylor. It's not
some
Taylor
Taylor
Hart, who's
Hart.
never played an
Right.
NFL snap
It's
as a tackle.
some kind of an insurance policy behind him. And again, same thing with him. You have blocking running backs in the backfield that can throw a block and provide that second level of
chip.
protection. So
Ajayi had one play this week where he chipped. This is a good. I will say that I addressed that because I was looking out for that. I'm like, okay, when's he gonna start pass blocking? He had one play assignment here this past game where he chipped on for Vitae. So
I saw Nelson drop
starting
a
to.
football too, by the way. I saw Nelson drop a football.
he
this
also
week.
had a touchdown called back.
Oh yeah, well yeah. The touchdown. You have to say this though. That was a hell of a play. Even though his knee was clearly down. After that,
Hell of a
it
play.
was a hell of a play.
And that's like okay, so
John Miller, real quick, agrees
Yeah,
with
go ahead,
Tom
go ahead.
too. Agreed, Tom. Can we get through this season before we evaluate what we
Yeah.
need one for next year? Absolutely. We could. I think we could talk about free agency, but we're not looking to replace anybody this year, and I think it's asinine
Yeah.
that anybody.
Well,
has.
in my defense, part of my job is to evaluate the NFL draft.
Yes,
so I
yes.
sort of kind of have to look at next year.
That is true.
It's kind of what I get paid to do.
And
so.
that's fair. I look at it. Are we not tired of talking about next year with every single sports team in this city? I mean, we talk about the Sixers for
Yep.
for 4 or 5 freaking years. It was winless for another guy. And I remember last year, guys talking about this year's draft coming up, and I was like, dude, I don't even care. Like, this is going back last year with the Sixers. I'm done talking about the draft in season. Like, I officially put my stamp on it. I'm never talking draft until the season's over, or you're out of playoff contention or whatever the case may be. Then you start looking.
This might be my last show then, because I'm going to talk about the draft. I'm sorry.
Well, that's your job. I'm talking about the people outside of here. Outside of here, it's our job to talk about things coming up. But me personally, I try to avoid it now because I spent years talking Sixers and who's going to be who we looking at, and even a couple years with the Eagles. So until it comes up, me personally, I'm just like, okay, let's just enjoy the moment. If it is a good moment,
Yeah.
and if it's a bad moment, we'll hate on it, and then we'll still look at the draft.
yeah.
I don't know if that made sense, but it felt right.
Most of it.
All right, so going back to some YouTube comments again. Jay Lash talking about needing a wide receiver in free agency. I forgot to read this. I could still use a Deshaun type. Him and Jacob Bloss pretty much saying that we could use a speed guy on the outside still. My argument, quick rebuttal to that is, well, you have Mac Hollins, we've been said, is a deep threat. And two, I might be the only one, but I don't care because I've been the only one in the past 2 years. I'm still a believer in Nelson Aguilar as a threat who can be moved outside on occasion, who has electrifying speed, who can go deep. So I'm not saying primarily put him outside, but I'm saying he can be moved around, in my opinion, and can still develop. Because talking about physical skill, I still think Aguilar is the most talented physically gifted wide receiver we have in terms of just physical skill. I'm not talking about his IQ or whatnot and everything else. I'm talking about just speed, athleticism, the whole package. Nelson is the most physically gifted wide receiver we have. I think you can't undersell the fact that he can still be a deep threat. Bleeding Green said, if we could only keep one because of the cap, I'd take Jeffrey over Smith every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
That's tough, man. That's kind of apples to oranges thing there, too. Because when you look at Smith's deal, it's like nothing, too. It's a team option next year, and he gets paid like nothing. Whereas Alshon's getting, it's double figures.
Yeah.
You could probably, like we talked about, Howie's is a master of manipulating the cap. He might be able to figure something out where maybe he's backloading the contract or so. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. Howie's been really good at doing it, but I don't know how you do it.
No, and I think real quick too to go back to that whole Mac Hollins thing. I mean, I think when you're talking about what we're going to need going into next year with that wide receiver threat, a deep wide threat, the money goes to Alshon this year. You have a prospect in place, or even to your point with Nelson Aguilar, with another guy who can be moved out there on a situational basis. Mm-hmm. You have that covered. I would rather see. I think Mac Hollins has shown me enough this year to warrant getting that look for next year. Or the following year, if for whatever reason they bring Torrey Smith back. I don't know if they are, but Torrey Smith back. So I think that's where the focus goes to bringing back Alshon. I don't need any other changes. If there's a change, that's the change you make. You promote your guy from within. Mm-hmm. I don't need to bring anybody else in from the outside for the wide receiver core.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to them drafting another receiver if there's a guy out there. I mean, there's. I was just looking at guys today, like a guy like
there's a guy you
it's
could
tough to
draft.
know, but like let's say theoretically, like right now they're going to have a late first round pick. Let's be real, it's going to be in the late 20s/30s, and a guy like a Christian Kirk from Texas A&M is probably going to be on the board, who is that deep threat, who is that explosive, electric kind of a player. So if he's on the board, it's worth taking a look. I mean, granted, it might not be the biggest need, but my personal philosophy is I don't like drafting for need. You draft the best player
draft
on
by
the
talent,
board.
right? No,
I hate
I
that.
understand. I'm kind of, I'm along with that unless there's an absolute glaring need you have to fill. I'm with you on that.
Like the Giants totally should have taken Ramczyk instead of Evan Ingram. Like that was a pretty obvious one there.
Yeah.
But in general, I definitely best player available.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. And I think at that point, if there's a guy who has an undeniable skill set, but maybe is raw, and you can get him at a late round, and you can draft him and develop him, I'm down for that. If there's a guy that drops so much that you just can't pass up on him at that point, you have to draft him. I'm on board with that. But that being said, aside from drafting, good point. Free agency, I don't. There's no need. You're not going to get a guy that I think you're going to fill in right away next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the guy to fill in next year, if that spot is opened up, is already on your roster.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
To catch up and get up to date with YouTube comments, let's see, Robert Curatolo, I probably butchered that. Let's guess the Eagles and Bears score. I say 38-14. Jonathan Griffin, big game, said big game for Alshon. And then Mario, my boy Mario, Charles, your favorite running back jersey behind you, LOL. Hell no.
There we go.
Right there.
It's already started.
And this goes into a debate me and Tom had.
I hope that's not even on TV.
It's
We
not.
will
It's
get partially there.
Beautiful.
But let me show you.
Good. Take it
All
off.
right, 36 Westbrook, the best franchise running back in Eagles history.
Oh,
Crazy
We are going
talk.
to get into that in the offseason. Offseason, when we have nothing to
Nothing.
talk about, we will sit here for 2 hours, I swear, and I will square up with you, Tom.
Well,
and
Tom-
I will go to town.
Tom, you're on
I
that
will not
episode.
give it. Yeah.
You'll be on the panel for that episode.
That is the one thing I will never ever give up. And I'm telling you guys right now, stay tuned. Just wait for it, because the first topic in the offseason where we have nothing to talk about, nothing with draft, it's going to be Westbrook or McCoy. And I'm telling you, I'm going to take this guy to town. All right?
God.
I'm calling you out, Tom.
Wilbert Montgomery doesn't get any love in that conversation. No?
I'm just going to sit in the middle, moderate, and then let you guys go at it.
Well, you agree
Just
with
let
me,
you guys-
so.
You'll say everything I need to say. That's all right. I'm fully confident in that.
I know
And
he's
then
bringing
some.
a lot of facts with
And
him.
then
So
some.
I got to really come prepared.
Yeah.
I
you
really got to
do.
come prepared that night.
He's going to be breaking down game films from like 2010.
Oh, you know I will.
Or
You
2009.
know I will. I will be as prepared as I can be, because I already am. I've done.
You remember
all the
when we played the
research.
Cleveland Browns in Week 12 of 2009? That's going to happen, believe me. But Mark Kelleher too. Plus, Mac knows the swish swish dance.
Oh, the
backpack?
The
That was one of the better
What else
ones.
we
this
got?
year,
Frank
man.
Vespi
Facebook.
answering the poll question. Do what the team has done. Put them in the right situation. That's I'm totally on board with that. Situational. Whatever makes sense, put that guy in there.
Going back to the Mac Hollins thing, I will say this, though. Alshon has been a pretty big catalyst in the baseball celebrations, which have been amazing.
Those have
So-
been absolutely fantastic.
I don't want that to go anywhere. I would like that to stay. So
That's one thing the NFL did get right this year, is allowing them, opening it up a little
Definitely.
bit for celebration. So kudos to that. I love that.
Yeah.
It's brought a lot of fun back to the game, and not just with the Eagles. We've seen a lot of great ones for us.
the hit by pitch one was my favorite.
Yes,
by
it
far.
was great.
Amazing.
That was amazing, absolutely. But yeah. So let's wrap up the Cowboys week. So we have this thing, me and Charles.
segment.
Yeah.
Go.
This is our when we give out our player of the week, we call it the churro of the week, because we love churros, and that's actually kind of how we met on
Shout
senior
out
trip.
Highland class
Yeah.
of 04.
Yeah.
Shout out to all you guys.
Yeah, so one of the things we did was we bonded over churros. So we're like, why not have a churro of the week? Maybe I'll even get one bronzed and sit it in the front one day. We'll see how that
I'll
works out.
probably eat it, but go ahead.
And as a newcomer, who doesn't love churros?
Yeah, I mean, really.
Let's just call it like we see it.
It's not even just like a personal thing. Everyone loves a
Yeah.
good churro.
If you don't like it, I think that might be like a barometer for if anyone will on the show. If you don't like churros, you can just get the hell out. Don't even come on the show.
There's no spot on the couch for you if you're not a churro
Yeah.
fan.
Yes.
But so let's start with our guest here, Paul. Paul, who do you give your churro of the week to?
All right, so mine is going to go to my guy Derek Barnett.
I'm I'm going to have to dub another because that was mine, but go for it.
Yeah, but it's okay because he was that damn good.
He was amazing.
So a lot of people are going to bring up, well, Tyron Smith wasn't playing. This is very true. Tyron Smith is an all-pro. He's arguably the best left tackle in all of football. But I don't care who he's going up against. This is a rookie going into the game less than 50% of the snaps. And he was in Dak Prescott's face, man, all night. And it was beautiful. Like, that one, I'm sure you guys have seen it where they show the ankle flexion that Joe Douglas brought up on draft night, where he just bends around the edge. My thing is, if he times a snap, I don't know how you stop him when he does that, because he's just bending. And then also, I love the instincts to come around. He knew he wasn't going to be able to tackle Dak. He saw him wind up. He just grabs his elbow. Like, that's while he's bending. I think the best expression I've ever heard is he can run full speed under a table. Like, because that's insane. Like, and I was just talking about it today where. There was a game last year against Florida when he was at Tennessee. He's got this sack in the second half where he just did that, and I've never seen him play before, and I was like, whoa, who is this guy? What is his deal? And I went back and watched like everything he'd done, and I'm like, that bend is something you cannot teach. That's insane. And it's funny because he's been very good all year. This is just now all of a sudden you're seeing sacks.
He's getting
you're
better
seeing
and
pressures.
better and better. Well,
and he's just getting better in general.
And that's been the conversation about him is I think he's played well. He's put the pressure on, but the sack numbers haven't been there. Now you're starting to see those things come to fruition. I think he's putting the pressure on Vinny Curry as far as you talk about next year or maybe the year after. He's putting the pressure on, and Vinny's had a good year this year.
Yeah. Also, to shamelessly plug myself one more time, my mock drafts, I had Derek Barnett going to the Eagles for a pretty long time.
In your very early drafts, you did,
What's funny is my first mock draft, I had him taking Sidney Jones before he tore his Achilles. So I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying.
Who do you got, Charles?
All right, my chair of the game, Ronald Darby.
Damn,
because
you guys are taking all my damn chair.
I like that one now.
The Cowboys made it a game plan to attack this guy as his first game back. But he shut them up. He shut down Des Bryant. There were questions about which wide receiver is going to be matched up against, or if anything, like if Des lines up on his side or whatnot. But man, one interception, the great play on him by him, by the way, to make that interception, and then just all over Des. That one, the first catch that Des has, I think, in the beginning of the game, where it was on an out route, I think, and then Dez caught it and tried to get past Darby, and he held onto his ankle and took him down. From then on, I was like, he's got him the whole game. Because there's no way, like Dez a few years ago or against any of our other corners, that play touchdown by Dez. But Darby was like, no, not tonight. And he locked him down whole game, physical, 8 tackles, led the team. And I know people are going to say it's not good when your cornerback leads your team in tackles, but in this case, you can kind of throw that out the window because the Cowboys were just trying to exploit it. They were deliberately forcing the ball to Dez on Darby, and it wasn't working. So great job by Darby. He gets my chair of the game this week.
Yeah, and you guys took mine, so I'm going to get one of those like foot-long ones, and I'm going to snap it in half. Because I'm going to give one to Alshon Jeffrey just because I really loved, again, I'm seeing better and better with his chemistry with Carson. We already beat that one to death. Second one I'm giving to is Jalen Mills because that freaking pump up that he had everybody. Tom, the way that was put on our Facebook posts or on our posts regarding that video was so perfect. I watched that video. I was ready to punch shit. I was ready to kick stuff over. I mean, I'm finishing up my work right now, and on my last day is tomorrow at my day job, and I was ready to grab the desk and rip it out of the ground and flip it. So, I mean, I love seeing that leadership, and you're talking about a guy last year who, I mean, the talent is there, but I felt like he made a lot of boneheaded plays. He made more plays on the man, not getting his head around and playing the ball. Yeah. This year, he's getting his head around. He's making. I mean, his coverage has been fantastic. He's making more plays on the ball, and to see that leadership from a second-year guy, especially knowing, that we've had injury issues, and I know we have a lot of veterans on this team, but to see a second-year guy kind of mature like that, step in and really just get right in the center there and just fire that team up and get ready to go. I loved seeing that. Yeah. So you know what? That dude's getting my my second half of my churro.
Gotcha. Good.
It's a solid churro.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take a little bit of a break. On the other side, we'll get into NFC, maybe even some AFC, what we see going into the, this last stretch of the season, who we're worried about. We're going to try to get into some brief Sixers talk as well. Again, just a shout out to our sponsors here, Gibson Mayer LLC, Certified Public Accountant, GibsonMayer.com, StreamSmart.com. Our poll question from ScanzanoSports.com. From the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMWofac.com. Guys, we'll check you on the other side.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com. A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Fellas, you ever come in from that baseball or football game and your woman won't come near you because you stink beyond belief? Then you need Soap Stash. You should never settle for a generic hygiene product that only covers up the stench. Treat your skin with the best nutrients. Feel clean with the only soap you'll need. The highest grade carrier oils are ingrained in all of their products, which are 100% natural and terrific for your skin. No sulfates, parabens, or phthalates, and synthetic fragrance free. Contact Soap Stash for your sample package and give your woman what she deserves. You can contact Soap Stash at 844-890-3197 or visit them on the web at soapstash.com or Facebook at Soapstash LLC. Once again, their number is 844-890-3197. Soap Stash, the new soap standard.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
All right, guys, we're back. Birds of a Feather on A2D, live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMW of AC.com, Gibson Mayer LLC, Certified Public Accountant, GibsonMayer.com, StreamSmart.com. Again, our Twitter poll question is, well, I lost myself for a minute. What should the running back rotation be going forward into the playoffs? Your options were Ajayi as lead back, Blunt as lead back, even timeshare between Ajayi, Blunt, and Clement, or play the hot hand. Feel free, guys. Definitely respond. We'll continue to discuss that. But But, yeah, that's brought to you by ScanzanoSports.com. But, yeah, guys, we wanted to shift in here in the second half. We kind of wrapped up, although we'll continue to talk if you guys request it with the Cowboys week, and we want to look forward now. We're going to go through NFC, AFC, who are our threats. NFC, who's the threat for the number 1 seed and possibly a tough matchup in the playoffs. And AFC, who do we think are the contenders this year? Who, if, knock on wood, we do get to the Super Bowl, what's a team that we could face and that would be a tough matchup for us? So let's start talking NFC. Charles, who are you looking at now? Another week removed, and there's been a little bit of there's been injuries and shifts. Who are you looking at now this week, analyzing who our tough matchup is in NFC?
Well, last week I had said that I firmly believe it's Saints, then Vikings, or then Saints, then Rams, then Vikings. This week, Saints still remain the top spot, but then I shifted the Vikings up and then Rams down because
Vikings look good this week.
Because I still have my worries about Case Keenum in the playoffs, but I have to start respecting how he's playing. As no matter what you want to believe, about how well he can do on a deep playoff run, you have to at least admit the fact that he is playing really well. And if he continues to do that, this Vikings team is scary. Okay, it's scary.
Minnesota's defense looked really good this
and that's
week
the
too.
thing.
I mean,
yeah.
they shut down the number 1 offense.
Yeah, and
scoring offense.
Scoring offense, yeah.
Latavius Murray looked like Latavius Murray from last
exactly.
year too.
Yes, he did.
And see, that's the reason what I said last week about the Rams is that they're reliant on 2 things: Gurley and that offensive scheme. Okay, like if you can defend Gurley and shut down Gurley somewhat in that running game, and then you have the talent on the back end to defend those wide receivers they're not elite talents. And Goff isn't an elite quarterback. He's playing well, very much improved from last season. And that's, he's doing great things, but he's still not on that level where you can say he's like an elite talent who's making all the throws, because he's not. And I think if you pair up a good defense on the back end, you're going to be able to kind of give this offense a lot of trouble, because they're so reliant on those 2 things. And without them, their struggle. They only had 7 points against the Vikings. So that's why I think that
7 points right away and then nothing.
Yeah, then nothing after that. And I think that's why everyone was talking about the Rams, and they are a really, really good team. But the thing is, I still put a team like the Saints above them because of the reasons I said last week. That running game, they are deadly. They will run it down your throat, but they can also pass because they have Breeze, Michael Thomas, Ted Ginn, and Snead, who's still there. And then you have that defense just playing lights out. Now, they did have an injury to Lattimore. I don't know how serious that is. I don't know the updates on him. I'm
actually trying to look that
look
up.
it up. Yeah, Lattimore.
Lattimore.
That was a big thing, because with him down, the Redskins were kind of able to put up a good number of points on them. But that Saints team is so well balanced, very similar to us. And I think out of those 3 teams, I still believe and I still say that they are matchup wise, head to head.
Speaking
they
of
will
the Saints,
give
real
us
quick
the
too,
most
the Saints.
trouble.
I saw that Dexter McDougal. Spy.
That's
it's a spy signing now.
No.
So I definitely agree. I think if you're looking at this from an Eagles perspective, you have to say the Saints are the biggest threat. I don't think there's any question there, because now all of a sudden they have a running game, and I think someone on YouTube had said earlier, "Oh, well, you want to stop the run and force Drew Brees to pass." What?
Yeah.
Like, are you? The guy's a Hall of Famer. You want to force Drew Brees to pass?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they welcome that. I mean, look what happened with the Redskins.
Yep.
Drew Brees has said, "Okay, you know what? I guess I'm just going to go ahead and take this game over," and he did.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I will say that I think you're underselling the Rams a little bit. Clearly, they lost. Their offense did not, after being the highest scoring offense, did not look very good against a very good Vikings defense. Beyond the scheme, though, too, the 2 things they did is they signed 2 veteran offensive linemen in Saffold and Whitworth, who have been huge additions for them. And I think that's a big part of it, too. That's a part of what has allowed Gurley to kind of go off.
Yeah.
As opposed to last year when, he really, really struggled. That, and then, of course, as you alluded to with McVay in the scheme, I personally think McVay is an outstanding coach. And
yes, I've been saying that, yeah.
On the other side of the ball, you have loaded you're loaded with really talented players. Plus, Wade Phillips is arguably the greatest defensive coordinator to ever live. So when you pair all that together, I think that they're a little bit bigger of a threat than we think. Granted, I mean, they had a bad game, and that happens. Teams have bad games. Now, you had a bad game against a really good team. As far as the Vikings go, Case Keenum has definitely been much better than I ever anticipated him being. And you had to give him all the credit in the world because he's been very good. The wheels could definitely still fall off. If I am going to put my stock in either Jared Goff or Case Keenum in the long term, I'm probably going to put it in Jared Goff still at this point. And I think another team that's kind of sneaky that not everyone is talking about because the Eagles kind of put it to them is the Panthers. The Panthers are still a little bit of a scary team. They're going to get Greg Olsen back this week. That's going to be a huge boost for Cam Newton. And I think they're another team that people have to keep their eye on. I don't think they're going to be a pushover if the Eagles if they come to Philly in the divisional round. I don't think that's an easy game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no update on Lattimore as of right now.
Okay.
But let's not forget they lost Alex Okafor too.
That's a big loss.
Oh, that's a big loss too.
I mean, we were talking last week about the list of one-year signings and guys who really have played above and beyond the one-year deals, and the Eagles had 3 of them. I mean, he's a one-year signing, and they've gotten more than their money's worth as far as what they maybe expected to get out of Alex Okafor. So that's another big shot to their
loss,
defense.
Yeah.
But I do agree. I think at this point the Saints are still the team that we are probably going to have the most matchup issues with. And, I mean, you have Drew Brees. I mean, that's goes without saying. You have a Hall of Fame quarterback leading that offense. I mean, they're right. Hopefully, we'll see what happens with Lattimore. But they scare me the most. I mean, I think the Seahawks losing now Cam Chancellor behind, I think that's going to be a really tough loss for them to overcome.
Yeah. You saw Byron Maxwell out there.
Burn Byron's coming.
Love it.
Burn Byron's coming.
It's funny. It's funny looking back at that too because they made that trade for Dwayne Brown. And at first, Jeremy Lane was in that trade, and he failed his physical. Man, that's like the happiest failed physical ever because they really need Jeremy Lane for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's definitely the Saints right now. I do believe that we're undercutting the Rams. I think that you had a little bit of a tough performance this week from them. I think that this is an opportunity for the Rams, though, now to see the adversity of what can Goff overcome. You have a tough loss against a really strong team with a really good defense in Minnesota. Now you get to see what the young kid's made of, to have weapons and then suffer a tough loss. Last year was kind of a tough year with him, but I think now, they have personnel in place for him to succeed, and I think that his progression and growth this year has been really it's more than I even expected for him to grow as far as this year. But I think now you're going to really see what that kid's made of.
2 things I'll say. Well, first of all, I don't know if you guys saw the one meme. I can't remember if it was a meme or someone just had a picture and it was like a quote tweet. But it was Case Keenum and Jared Goff like embracing after the game, and Case Keenum was the backup for the Rams last year. And you see it's Jared Goff whispering into Case Keenum's ear, and someone wrote, "Jeff Fisher can't hurt either of us anymore." I'm like, yes, that is brilliant.
Oh God.
But another big thing for the Rams, Robert Woods has been really good for them, and he was out this week, and I think he's still a couple weeks away from coming back. So that's a huge loss for them. And it seems like we talk about Wentz developing chemistry with Alshon. That's a guy that Goff's really starting to trust and really developed a lot of chemistry with as well. So that's a big blow for them.
I still keep waiting for the shoe to drop and for the chemistry to start happening with Sammy Watkins. It's this late.
So do I.
Flashes.
It's this late in the
Flashes.
season, and you see the hints of it, but it hasn't happened yet. And what I worry about that is it's going to be like a light switch. There's going to be a game coming up. They're going to finally just hit that stride, and it's going to be, he's going to be the home run guy for them down the field. I worry about
Could
that
happen.
because then I think that's going to create problems for our secondary. But I mean, if that doesn't happen, I think that's to our benefit, and I think that doesn't stretch the field as much as they want it to.
It's pretty crazy with all the top tier NFC teams. They're all built for the playoffs because they're all built to travel. They can all run the ball and they can all play defense.
Yes.
So it's just crazy to have that all in the NFC right now, whereas the AFC doesn't have any of that.
The
right
matchup
now. It's weird.
In a few weeks when we play the Rams, the matchup that I'm going to be watching is Sammy Watkins versus Ronald Darby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
it's gonna be a lot of fun.
That's
A
going to be
lot
a
of
measuring
fun.
stick. You're gonna see how we
Two
match
former
up with them.
teammates.
Yeah,
Two former teammates that got traded.
A lot of practice together.
Yeah,
against
exactly.
each other. Now, the Rams, to me, to answer your guys' question, the Rams, to me, is if I'm worried about anybody and I look at matchups, the Rams and me are still the second best team in the NFC because the losses, the loss in New Orleans, you lose a big part of your D-line. That's tough, and it's tough to overcome in this league. That's where you win at. That's part of the reason why their secondaries had success because they've been able to get after the quarterback well. I'm just not sold on that defense yet. I know they played really well. I just can't fall in love with them. But the Rams defense is a defense you can fall in love with. That's a tough place to play, Minnesota in the Dome. They're a top 5 defense, obviously. But the Rams, they can run the ball, like Paulie was saying. They just do. They feel like they match up well against us. We're real similar styles of team in a way. If you really look at it.
I mean, you talk about the Dome, too. I think it was the first half where they had to burn 2 timeouts because they couldn't I think it was Goff couldn't hear from the sideline. He couldn't hear what the play calls were. So they had to waste 2 timeouts in that first half. So, I mean, exactly what you said. That's a tough place to play in. And if anybody does have to play them in the Super Bowl in Minnesota in the Dome,
man,
I would hate to be the AFC team that's got to play them in that Dome in a championship game.
We're talking about possibly Case Keenum being the starting quarterback in a Super Bowl. My mind is just blown.
Isn't it crazy? I mean, he did sling it. He did spin it around a lot in college.
That's true.
He could. Yeah. He just, maybe it's something, to Jeff Fisher. I don't know. But when you have a great defense and it takes the pressure off you.
Yeah, it does.
And you have an up-and-coming star in this league at the wide receiver position, and the opposite of Watkins, who's been an underachiever his whole life. And you look at another guy who's a 6th-round pick in Minnesota, and it just grinded. He was a late pick, right? He wasn't.
Are we talking about Diggs?
Thielen
too.
Yeah.
Diggs and Thielen. I think Diggs was a 4th-round pick.
Forget about Diggs, don't you?
You forget about
Diggs is a hell of a player, too. Yeah.
No, and by no means am I putting him on the same par as Tom Brady, but there was a time where people said, Tom Brady comes onto the field and this guy's going to take us to a Super Bowl when Bledsoe got hurt, and look what happened there. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but he's a young guy. Keenum maybe just needed the opportunity to get in there and play with an offense that can, stretch the field with weapons on it.
And they've had adversity too, Mike. Losing Dalvin Cook.
Huge.
They've been hit with injuries, and the one good thing they did this year was they said, you know what, we're going to go get 6 new offensive linemen.
Yeah,
we're just not going to deal with this again.
Well, I mean, and you're talking. They lost Dalvin Cook. They lost Sam Bradford. They had lost Teddy Bridgewater last year. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of uncertainty at that quarterback position. Maybe this is the kid that comes in and takes control of it. I still think the long-term view of that franchise is they're looking at Teddy Bridgewater as the quarterback of the future.
Long-term, yeah.
But did Casey Keenum open up opportunities for him in this league for teams that need quarterbacks? I absolutely think he has opened some eyes to say this kid's worth a longer look. I don't think this is going to be another Osweiler situation where the guy caught lightning in a bottle. I think that this kid, I would put him maybe – with the potential to be a 15 to 20 quarterback, but on a good team with a defense, with weapons around him, Joe Flacco did it. Led a team to a Super Bowl and was able to win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Who's to say this kid can't do that with another organization?
Exactly.
Or even this organization.
I love his pressers, too, because he goes into his pressers like as a guy who's not wearing the gear as a number one. Like he goes into pressers as the backup still. He's got the backwards hat on. He doesn't got the flashy suit on. Like he goes in knowing he's starting, but just feeling like that hook can come at any point where he's not going to be over the podium. So that's how he attacks the pressers. I love that part of him. I really do. He's starting to grow on me a lot, and that team's scary. That team's scary.
Chrome, I'm glad you brought up Sam Bradford because I gotta say,
Sammy sleeves.
This
Charles
is gonna
love some Sammy sleeves.
This is gonna be I was gonna say this is gonna be a take. It's gonna upset Eagles fans, but man, I feel so bad for that guy. Because listen,
I do too.
Okay. In week 1, he balled the hell out against the Saints. That might have been the best game he's ever played.
I was gloating.
And he gets hurt and he's done.
I know.
And look how good Minnesota is. Like he wouldn't have had to carry the team this year. He could have. It's just, man, the guy just can't catch a break, dude.
I said
unbelievable.
It. Even when we got him, and I still feel this way. If the guy, it's been bad break after bad break after bad break. I think that he is an intelligent guy. I think if he had the right personnel around him to allow him to develop properly, not have to, constantly take all those hits that he took in St. Louis, I think that his career could have gone a lot differently.
Yes.
I'm not saying he would have been a top 10 quarterback, but easily to me, he has potential to be a 10 to 15 quarterback in this league. It's just the cards just didn't fall. And I mean, even look here, the guy leaves the team. Carson Wentz steps in. Boom. I mean, you have a team built around in this city, And I'm not saying he would have had the same success as Carson, but I think if he had a little bit of a better game plan surrounding him here in Philly.
You mean you didn't believe in Chip Kelly's offense?
I did. I did until Chip Kelly took over the
We all
organization.
Well, the
We all
Miami
did.
game is the one you look at for Bradford in an Eagles uniform. You know,
Yeah.
you're winning that game. I think that was year 2 at Chip. You're
Yeah.
feeling really good about, or year 3 at Chip, I think.
3.
That was 3.
2015.
Yeah. So you're feeling really good. You're feeling good off of 2 10-6s. You're playing pretty good football up until that point. He gets hurt at halftime. And the rest of the season is Mark Sanchez, and we know what happened there. But he was playing. I mean, Bradford was playing really good ball.
The Sanchez.
Some guys, just the injury bug's contagious for him, and he's a guy that. Listen, man, he gets hit,
It's a shame.
and that's that.
I
It's a
I
shame.
just feel bad.
It is.
It really
I
is. I don't feel
he's-
bad for his bank account.
No,
Yeah.
oh,
No,
hell
He
no.
is. He's
Poor
set.
guy.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
to
I
piggyback
agree
off
with
of that before I get to YouTube comments, can I just say that season, like leading up to maybe like right after the Giants game, I think the Giants game was like week 5. I had people and my friends who will go unnamed. That
You can
said,
name 'em. Call 'em out,
that
dude.
said,
Yeah,
that
call their
said,
asses out.
I would
We are
rather.
not on a platform
They
to not
said.
call people
They
out.
said. They literally said week 5 after the Giants game. They said I would rather have Mark Sanchez than Sam Bradford. Mark Sanchez
Sorry,
has
I'm already
mobility.
Listen,
How did that work out for you guys?
listen,
Seriously.
listen, call them out because I want them to now tune into the show and go back and forth with us on here. And I want them to call their asses out next time. Real quick on the Facebook.
The Facebook.
I feel out.
Drop the.
On the Facebook. Ryan Brodo, what up, my man? Hey, guys, great show. To answer the poll question, I think the teams need to stick to whatever's working at this time. It's definitely not a problem to have a few options. Darryl Bosket, they lost to KC. Fast forward 8 games later, they're 8-1. I think this is talking about when we were challenged. I myself is just enjoying the season, doing my best not to get too hyped. One game at a time. You can get a little bit hyped here. I mean, I understand.
you can.
Listen, it's like Charles says. Listen, it's okay to say the word Super Bowl at this point. I'm not saying we're definitely going to get there, but it is a realistic opportunity. It's
Yes.
okay to say it.
You can't enjoy the ride if you're so anxious and nervous the whole way.
Yes.
Right. I mean,
You gotta enjoy the ride a little bit.
Enjoy the
Absolutely.
ride. Exactly.
And let's not forget, and I know things change, expectations change as the season goes on, but we weren't even expected to be in this position. So you know what? I'm enjoying what I'm seeing, and I don't feel like there's anything that's encouraged me to think otherwise that we can't be a legitimate threat to get to the Super Bowl and possibly win one.
I thought they were going to have 9 wins at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
here we
just
are.
a quick shout out to Jose Colon. What up, Jose?
YouTube. Ryan Brodo asks, how do you guys feel about the Falcons? We'll get to that, but then just to finish off, a Bleeding Green said Washington exposed Saints D this week. If you check their schedule, their D showed up only against weak teams. If you look at all the NFC teams, you can find a weakness the Birds can exploit where the Birds have no such weakness. I see good games, but the Birds coming out on top of each one. Except second time around, maybe Carolina might be our biggest challenge. Just real quick on Carolina, I'm not a believer in Carolina, so because I'm not a believer in Cam, I don't believe in Cam. He is such an overrated passer, and he relies so much on his legs and his running ability and that read option.
I mean, having Greg Olsen is definitely going to be a huge
It's
going to
be a huge step, but the thing is,
that's the Zach Ertz to
Yeah.
us. That's your guy that's his safety blanket.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Preach,
said,
Charles, preach.
yeah.
Preach,
I just-
Charles, preach.
The reason why Cam is a one-time MVP of the league is because that defense won so many games for them, and they were reliant on the read option. They ran so well with Jonathan Stewart.
they had a really
and
good
him.
defense that year.
Yeah, really good defense that year. But Cam is not. I'm sorry, guys. Cam is not a good quarterback. Cam is not a good passer at all. Okay, he is not. I'm sorry. So I am not. Excuse me. Like I know some people want to believe in the Panthers and say they're a threat. They're a good team, but I think that if we face them again, especially in Philly, a lot of the same is going to happen as we saw
Well,
in
that's
the original
difference
matchup.
too. It's a home game. If we play them again in the playoffs, it's a home game for us.
Our defense is going to give Cam fits because Cam
Right.
cannot read a defense. He can't. I'm sorry, he doesn't anticipate throws. He doesn't throw
Well,
his
he
wide
runs.
receivers open, and he doesn't.
If it's not there, he runs.
Yeah, he runs. So I'm sorry, I don't. You can call. I'm not a believer in Cam. I'm not a fan of Cam. So
Here's-
I guess you can
all
say I'm biased somewhat, but that's the reason why I don't believe in the Panthers because I don't believe in Cam.
I'm I'm gonna have to be the disagreement here. I'm gonna have to be the disagreeing guy because I
Tom,
know.
here we go.
Now listen, I know you're a big watcher of film. I know you follow the game very closely. Go back and watch film from the year that Cam won MVP. Because I'll give you, he doesn't win MVP without the running game. Without that defense, he doesn't win the MVP. But if you watch that game, that season, he was making throws with anticipation. He was reading defenses. He was getting through progressions. He wasn't just one read and then tuck the ball and run. He actually was surveying the field and doing things. Last year, I don't know what in the world happened to him, but he just seems like he fell off a cliff. And then this year, he's been really inconsistent. There's been games. That Detroit game, he looked unreal in that Detroit game. He threw 3 touchdowns, and they were beautiful balls he was throwing. And I just think.
But I think
he's an inconsistent passer.
It's between,
there you go.
Right.
I don't think he said he's bad. I think it's that he's inconsistent. But that's my thing. So all it takes is one hot game in a play, or it takes one hot playoff run for him to beat you. So that's what scares me about him.
And I think for him, it's between the ears. If he has that confidence, if things are going the way that he wants it to go, or the team wants it to go, and the offense is starting to flow, then I think that Cam settles down. But I think he gets rattled, and I think it's between the ears. And then he takes all of it onto his own shoulders, and that's when you start seeing him stop looking down the field, and he's looking for, okay, this option or this option's not open. I'm just going to look for the hole, and I'm going to try to make something happen with my legs. That's where I think his fault is. He has to have that patience, stay in the pocket, step up in the pocket, or roll out and find the open man, and he does keep plays alive, but not to the level that you're seeing someone like Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Carson is keeping the plays alive and still looking downfield.
Exactly.
For him, he might look maybe 10 yards ahead of him while he's rolling, but if that guy's not open, he's off.
And he is, like you said, I'll be fair. 2015, he did improve as a passer.
He had a great year.
He had a great year. I'm not going to say it wasn't deserved. I won't go that far.
But when things are going your way, the way they were in 2015,
and the
confidence
thing is,
there.
that is one season. How many seasons has he been a pro now? And he hasn't shown consistency as a passer. Yeah, he's a streaky passer. When he's on and he's on fire, he's feeling it great. But how many? I'd argue that is more times than not where he's just not on. And then all it takes is a really, really good defense to get in his head and be physical with him. And he throws one turnover, and all of a sudden it snowballs. And you saw that against us in I forget what week 6 in Carolina on Thursday night. He doesn't see the field well as a passer, and so I can't put my trust. If I'm going to talk about putting them on the level as the other 3 teams you mentioned, I can't put them on that level because I've never been a big believer in Cam.
But to that point, I would say I can't in good conscience say that I trust Case Keenum more than I trust the 2015 NFL MVP. So there's that. But then also, I think Cam just always struggles with this idea of, because I know last year, and it's funny because I was just when I said, "Oh, what happened to him last year?" What happened to him last year was he got this idea into his head, and the Panthers were part of the reason. And even this year, drilling it into him, hey, you can't take as many big hits. Hey, you can't make plays with your legs because we want to preserve you. But you can't let him – he can't play that way. He's not effective that way. He's got to play with – and it's probably not good for a long-term career, but he kind of has to play with reckless abandon.
I mean, I think we saw that in this city with Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
I mean, Donovan, those first few years, especially when we were making that run – that year against St. Louis, he was our leading rusher. He was making a lot of plays. That
Redskins game too, I remember.
Yeah, he made a lot of plays with his legs, and then it got to the point where the organization said, "Dude, you got to figure it out. But you can't be taking all these hits, and you can't be just constantly running." And he was taking the hit. That's kind of like what Carson does, and it scares me half to death.
Sure.
Carson just goes in, he doesn't slide, he takes the hits. Mike Vick, how many times did we hear that about Mike Vick? And I think Mike Vick was a good passer. I thought Mike Vick was a really good passer.
He had a huge arm.
Yeah,
huge arm.
But his legs were a big part of his game. And again, I don't think you can harbor these guys and take that element or try to harbor that element of their game, because I agree. That's what got them to the show, is the ability to use their legs and make plays or break out when they needed to. What I think Cam needs to do, though, is he needs to extend plays more, instead of when you're frustrated and things aren't going, thinking you have to be the difference.
Yeah.
Now, I think Greg Olsen coming back is going to be a difference for them. Because like I said with Carson, who's the safety blanket? Zach Ertz. When you have that powerful, that big, strong tight end with great hands, that makes it a lot better. Because when you need to dink and dunk and you're looking and you only have to, if you're extending a play and you need that guy who's 10 yards down the field or 8 yards down the field, you can rely on dumping the ball off to Zach Ertz or dumping the ball off to Greg Olsen.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to make a huge difference. I know Tom's going to chime in. I just wanted to get, because he was on the show last week, Greg. I totally bypassed his answer to the Twitter poll question. Yeah, absolutely, right. But, real quick shout out to Greg Milakovic, brother. Thank you for chiming in. I know you guys are way past the poll question, but I gotta go combo love lead with Ajayi and the hot hand. So he's breaking the rules, of course, because he's Greg and he's combining shit. So safe flight to you too, Greg. Whether you flew or you're gonna fly. But getting back to that, I that's kind of where I see it with Cam. And to me, it's all between his ears. If he has it, if he sees it that things are going the way that the game plan is or the way he sees it going, he's tough to stop. And I think he's a much better passer than people give him credit for.
Yep.
As long as he's
I'll have to see it.
As long as he's confident.
Call me a hater. I don't know what you're gonna say, Tom. But
by no means
am
am I saying he's a great passer, but I don't think he gets the credit that he should get.
Inconsistent. Definitely inconsistent, and when he's hot, he's hot.
Here we go.
Listen, when I talk about the quarterback position, I'm going to go a little deeper. You know what I mean? I'm going to go to your leadership abilities. And the fact is, the guy's a flat-out fraud. He's not a leader of nobody. He's a leader when things are going well. Well, listen, I'm going to look to my highest-paid guy, which 99% of the time is the quarterback, and I'm going to look about how he goes about his business. And I just feel like as a leader of men, that's not his game. Okay? All the talent in the world, going back to his Auburn days, nobody can question that. The guy's got tons of talent. Things that you haven't seen at the quarterback position for maybe ever. Some of the things that he can do with his size. Mm-hmm. But it all comes back to, Mike said, up in his head. And how the guys really respect him in that locker room? Because I don't know.
Respected him enough to get to the Super Bowl.
They did, but But listen, what happened after that? And this is the big thing, Paulie, because everything's on tape. Again, I'm going deeper. Everything's on goddamn tape. What's on tape is you not diving for a football in the biggest game you ever play in your life. That stays on tape. Just like Carson lowering a shoulder against a safety against Carolina. That stays on tape. That translates all through a locker room. That translates. The guy saying, man, our quarterback's lowering his shoulder on a safety like he's a running back. You remember that in the Carolina game? That translates. Now guys are looking around like, oh, okay. And then they start believing more and more in this kid. And I just think the belief, especially the next year coming back, having the Super Bowl hangover, and everybody looking to Cam like, when are you going to turn it on for us? Mm. And I think that might have started losing some guys in the locker room. And, I don't know. I'm diving deeper into it than probably I should, but that's my dislike for him. I just don't like him as a man. I think he's a fraud.
No, and I don't
learn how to post on Instagram too, Daddy, because I had no idea when you're right.
Well, listen, I mean, there's a lot There's a lot of things to not like about Cam Newton away from the football field. That whole thing with the female reporter, that's ridiculous. Like he's a jerk. He's not a very good person. He's a jerk. But if we're just talking about from a pure football standpoint, I think he's still a good enough quarterback to lead a team. And again, if we're talking about one playoff game in Philadelphia, I think he could pull it off. That's it.
And that's a fair point. I don't disagree with that.
We'd be assholes to sit here and disagree that he can't come
any given Sunday.
Yeah, like he can't come win a football game.
Yeah.
He's got tons of talent. Like I think that's what I wanted to make clear about. Tons of talent. The leadership just isn't there. Like you said it, Paul. He's a jerk off.
I said jerk, but all right.
Jerk. I'll have the off. But, like how does that sit around other guys? I'm not saying he's got to be a nice guy. You're playing pro football, but perception's all you got in this world. So when your perception is that you're a jerk off, you're an a-hole, whatever the case may be, guys in the locker room start thinking the same thing. In today's day and age of social media, where everybody's online, everybody sees this guy in the locker room saying stupid shit and getting crushed all over the place. So I just don't know how, we're not inside their locker room. So I'm looking from an outsider saying, man, I don't know if I would rally for this guy.
Yeah, no, and I think it's a maturity thing too. I mean, I know we're talking about the off-the-field stuff, but I think that stuff does translate because you're seeing a maturity. And, again, a guy who, if things aren't going your way, you're talking about diving on footballs and stuff. Like, to me, that's almost like the equivalent of a temper tantrum. It's not going my way. I'm not going to put the full effort in. And I do think that that's an issue sometimes with him. And, again, that's between the ears. That's something that at this point in his career, He should have that kind of a maturity as a leader on the football field. He should have developed that by now. And I don't. That 1 year it seemed like he had it, and then it was like it regressed right back to what you saw those previous years.
But let's say this. So let's say again, just for like argument's sake, so their schedules they do have 2 tough games left. They have to go to New Orleans and they get Minnesota at home. So they have 2 tough games. But then the rest of that, very winnable games. Other than that,
Okay.
So what if they rip off the next whatever? They lose 1 game for the rest of the season. They come in the playoffs riding high. It's just and I agree that Cam Newton's the kind of guy he kind of feeds off of the energy. So what if all the energy they have is positive? And again, like they come because oftentimes, as much as I don't want to say this, as much as I don't want to believe this, the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. There's no disputing that. But often the best team all season is not the team that wins.
Yeah,
it's the hottest team coming
team.
in. So that's another thing that kind of, again, with the Panthers, if they can get hot, that also kind of scares me.
Well, I could tell
I
you
understand.
that.
That's fair. That's a fair, but
Different sport, but I could tell you that 2011, baby, St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh, get out of here with that.
God.
What a September run that was.
Real quick, Michael Cambria says, "Go Vikings." All right. But he does have a good point. Cam doesn't have the heart. Remember the Super Bowl? He didn't go after the ball. Was what you said. Anything can happen in the playoffs. I'll go back and I'll say that I'm not saying it's impossible for them to come in and beat us in Philadelphia. It's not impossible.
It's not even just the playoffs. Regular season, I watched a Miami Dolphins Ajayi Feely-led team go in and beat the shit out of the New England Patriots. So it can happen.
I'm just not going to put them.
But
I'm not going to put them on the same level as the 3 teams I mentioned. That's my point, because when it comes down to it, the roster up and down from top to bottom and Cam, I can't put them on the levels of the 3. That's just what I'm saying. But he's streaky. They are a threat, but not the threat to me.
So how do you guys feel about the AFC? Because I mean, we were looking at the Chiefs, and it was a tough. The Chiefs they have not looked good for quite a few weeks at this point now.
No, they have not.
Coming into the season, I thought Oakland could be a team that would be really competitive in the AFC. It hasn't come together for them. I mean, I hate saying it, but the only team that I see right now, and it seems inevitable for me that New England's the only team that's now starting to click on all cylinders and is rolling, and that's without having Edelman, and now Chris Hogan's hurt. They're another team now that's facing adversity, and they've always had that mentality, next man up, and that's what I love about our team. It almost reflects that. But I feel like that. There's what other team is there?
Steelers.
I was just gonna say Steelers.
I mean, they're rolling. Ben's looking a lot better now, but I can't believe in the Steelers.
So their defense has been so. It's so funny because for so long the Steelers were always known Steel Curtain. They were always known for their defense. Then over the last few years, it was more when they got Le'Veon, when the Antonio Brown started emerging as without a doubt the best receiver in the NFL. Then all of a sudden it shifted towards they were an offensive football team. But over the years they've done a really nice job in the draft, getting Shazier, getting Dupree, getting guys like that, and Javon Hargrave, their nose tackle, guys like that. They've drafted really, really well, and all of a sudden they've kind of slowly built that defense. So my thing is they are where they are right now, and they haven't even clicked offensively yet.
What drives me?
They really had, and they put up 40 last week against a Titans team that looks like I talk about a team that we all thought was going to be good and you can't really get a read on.
I mean, there's so many teams in the AFC that you look at and I thought they would have been good, and it's just not coming together.
Can't get a
now, I mean, the NFC is definitely the powerhouse in the NFL. Let's be clear on that. The thing that drives me nuts, and this is a year in, year out thing with the Steelers, you look at their offense, and you're saying they're an offensive team, and they should be an offensive team. But I look at them, and when they play a team, and it's a team that isn't a high-scoring team, it seems like they play down to them, and they're putting, it's a 17-13 game against the Browns.
Yeah.
And then they play a team like New England, and it's a 34-31 game against New England. There's never – that team to me, that offense that they have, that team every game – and I mean the guys are a little bit older, but over the last few years I looked at that team and I'm like they should be averaging 25 points a game or 26 points a game. But they never, to me, offensively seem to have the consistency. I mean, their wide receiving core every year is stacked. and then you live with the Le'Veon Bell. I mean, you have possibly the best pure running back in football.
Yeah.
And it just and you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, and it just never every year I look
Never
at them
pans out,
and
yeah.
I just don't believe in them because I don't know which team's going to show up. If they were as consistent as I feel like they should be with the personnel that they have in place, to me they would be the team, maybe even superseding New England.
Yeah.
But it just never works out that way. And then when they face that adversity against a team like New England,
They get
and
crushed.
again, I'm saying this knowing that they've won 2 Super Bowls within the last, 10 or 15 years.
I think 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
11 years.
I understand that, but, that should, over even just the last 5 years, the way that team is built, they should put way more points on the board than they do.
I
And
agree.
it drives me nuts when I see a game against, Cleveland, and they're putting up 14 points or 13 points and winning it 13-3.
I agree.
Like, what? How is that happening?
No, that's you echoed my sentiments because that's the thing about Pittsburgh that it worries me is that they just never can put it together the way they should be. So I completely agree, and they have to. I have to see them get over the Patriots before I can be all in on them. But to me,
and that's with 2 titles, and I still feel like they can never get past the Patriots, knowing they've won 2 titles in the last 11 years.
Yeah, but to me, it's AFC is just those 2 teams. It's Patriots and Steelers, and everyone else is just no. But that leads to my point about the Chiefs that I want to make because Andy Reid, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, Andy
okay,
I don't know.
all right.
Andy's starting to look like
Off the bye week, his
the tough
reputation
years.
his reputation has always been he's great coming out of the bye week. He's facing probably the worst team, or if not like a bottom 2 team in the league, in the Giants, correct? Who gave up on their coach. Ben McAdoo is pretty much out the door.
He's a dead man walking at this point.
You lose
He's just filling a
this
seat till the
game
season ends.
in overtime where you don't score a single touchdown, and to cap it all off, in the first half, Kareem Hunt had 4 carries. Guys, 4 carries. And this is what drives me nuts about Andy freaking Reid, because he doesn't know how to use his talent, his running back talent. Goes back to Brian Westbrook is what I'm saying the
here we
whole
go.
time.
I was waiting
His
for that
running
shoe
back
to
talent.
drop.
I'm
I was
serious.
waiting for that shoe to
I'm
drop.
serious, but I won't get too much into that. But
I
my
think he
point
used
is
Brian Westbrook
Kareem
perfectly,
Hunt.
by the way.
No, Kareem
He used
Hunt
Shady McCoy
should
pretty well,
be
too.
He
Kareem
damn sure
Hunt.
did.
How does Kareem Hunt get only 4 carries in the first half? Okay,
I mean,
I don't understand. Like, you have a potential rookie of the year candidate who is he leads the league in broken tackles, if I'm correct. For the last time I checked, leads the league in broken tackles. Why are you running him 4 times in the first half? Sharkandrick West, I'm sorry, he's in there because he's a good pass blocker, because he's a good receiver out of the backfield. Last time I checked, Kareem Hunt is a perfectly fine receiver out of the backfield. Andy Reid, you drive me nuts, okay, nuts with this stupid use of the running backs. And I hope that you guys continue to lose because you piss me off.
No, I
Kareem Hunt, 4 carries in the first half.
I don't want them to lose.
Why?
When
Why?
when will Andy Reid not have the ire of Eagles fans?
When
does that happen?
I don't want
When does the pain heal?
Listen, I want Andy to win. I want them to turn it around. I want to face Andy in the Super Bowl.
After that,
That's what I want.
No, after that, I'm sorry. Like, he's pissed me off the last time. Well, okay, for this season, he's pissed me off enough. I just for that game plan, I don't understand. For weeks, Sharkandrick West over Kareem Hunt, like the week before this, game before this past week, Kareem Hunt only had 9 touches. What the hell are you doing?
Listen,
what do you see in Sharkandrick West?
It wasn't in the script for the first 15
Oh
minutes.
my God!
I mean, listen, this is all I'm going to say, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but in my ideal situation, the Eagles went out and play Andy in the Super Bowl, and we beat them. Not only because it's Andy, I love Andy, but not only because it's Andy, because it's the one loss we have this year, and I want to avenge that loss in the ultimate game.
I love Andy, but I hate him too.
In my overall grand scheme of how I would love to see things going, not just on our end, but I don't believe it's going to happen on that end. But that would be the perfect scenario for me to go to the Super Bowl. And I don't want to hear the, be careful what you wish for kind of crap. That's just what I want to see. To me, when I watch a Super Bowl, I want to see an entertaining football game. I want to see 2 good teams, which I do think.
And a little drama.
Yes, if there's a side story that ties it in, and is there a better side story really in the NFL this season that could tie two teams from the two different leagues together, that would be it. The only one maybe Tom Brady and Drew Brees, kind of a last shootout between them two. Take that aside, or Tom Brady versus the up-and-coming Carson Wentz. Like, there are always subplots and drama lines, and that's what I want to see for us this season. I think it would be friggin' phenomenal to finally get there, and that's what we have to go up against.
Why? Because we're going to face Charcandrick West over Kareem Hunt in the Super Bowl? And I mean, that's going to happen. Ain't nobody's going to do it.
It's not my call. If that's the call they make, that's on them. That's not on me.
Charcandrick fucking West. Are you serious? Pissing me off.
Kareem Hunt's that dude, man. I love Kareem Hunt.
And hey, listen, just
again, loved him coming.
as I said
Toledo.
earlier, side note.
And
I
to
think
be fair, you were the one who got me aware of Kareem Hunt.
I
My
love
love
me
for
some
Kareem Hunt
Kareem Hunt.
started because of Paulie. He was like, "Yo, check
Listen.
out Kareem Hunt," and I was like, "All right." And from the second I watched film on him, I was like, "I'm hooked."
I know we already said it, but I want to say it again. I think Andy used Brian Westbrook perfectly. So
Nope.
Again, he also used Shady perfectly.
He absolutely did. But no, I mean, the AFC is just to me it's a cluster. I don't even know. I mean, I just can't see anybody other than New England at this point. You guys say the Steelers. We'll see. To me, the Steelers got to get over that Patriots hump. And Tom Terrific, the GOAT, he's starting to roll on all cylinders. So we'll see. They have a little adversity themselves now with their injuries. So we'll see
right
what's going to happen.
situation.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot going on there. But I didn't get much time in. Is anybody on YouTube chiming
pretty
in
much,
on this?
yeah. Bleeding Green said a Pennsylvania Super Bowl or a rematch with the Pats. Either storyline would work out nicely, but I'd like revenge and Brady handing over the reins to Wentz. And then Jonathan Griffith says Big Ben versus the Kid Carson. Ben retires after loss. Wentz is the legend killer. I would take those two storylines over the Chiefs storyline. I'm sorry.
No, there's no
I
other.
would. We
Listen,
get
I'm
our
not-
first. We get
again,
our first Super Bowl against the team that we were once unified with, the Steagles. And the Pennsylvania Super Bowl,
I
the
don't
Keystone
give a
State
shit
Super
about
Bowl.
that.
I don't
No.
know. I'd take that over the
I don't
Chiefs
care
storyline.
about that. To me, that was what, the 1930s? Okay, who gives a shit about the 1930s?
I don't know, to me, I think
At
it's
this
a little bit
point-
of irony.
No,
but
what's
to
more
me-
ironic is if you go against the guy who got us there one time and four straight NFC championships and couldn't get us over the hump.
That would be a hell of a
That
story.
is a much better storyline and much more relevant to today.
Especially
again,
he's facing off also against one of his pupils with Doug
Dude,
Peterson.
absolutely. I mean,
So, I mean, it's
I get
lot
it.
of, it's high
there's
drama, man.
so much to tie.
Yeah.
And again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but it's fun to talk about this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And again, why can
That's
we
what
talk
someone
about
just
it?
someone just said 1 week at a time. But come on, man, enjoy it.
Yeah,
Have some fun.
And again, that's the thing. It's
Loosen up.
okay to mention the word Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We're fans of football. Our team is doing, way beyond what anybody expected.
Enjoy it.
And it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like
Loosen up. Have a beer, man.
Yeah.
they've done enough to prove that they are a legitimate threat. It's not lightning in a bottle. This team is built to win, and they're built to win now. And not just now. They're built to potentially sustain this over the next few years. Let's enjoy it. Let's not sit here and get all worked up, get the tension. We got to work the knots out of the shoulders. I don't want to have to go and call and start using my hand in stone. My
Gift card?
my membership over there,
Yeah,
just because of the Eagles. This is to me this is the most relaxing season I felt like I've had for the Eagles.
Just pop open a
possibly
brewski, man.
ever.
Pop open a brewski and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's okay to enjoy it. I get the mentality 1 week at a time, but let's enjoy it.
Enjoy it 1 week at a time. But
This is the best.
man.
This might be the best team, well put together team we've ever had in franchise history. I don't feel bad about saying that. I think that when you talk about the mesh of the young talent and the young talent still to come, guys like Sidney Jones, that are going to step into some of these roles if we were to lose, certain pieces to the puzzle. It's been built to succeed. Let's enjoy the success of it. I know it's Philly, but it's okay. It's okay. We still got the
We've been
soul.
hurt. We've
I've
been
been
hurt so
saying it.
badly.
Hey,
Like,
yep.
we still got the Philadelphia soul. They won us a championship recently.
oh man,
Jaws'
oh,
team.
man.
But no, I mean, Tom. I thought Tom was going to chip in on there, but maybe not. But no, yeah. So that's where we're at with that. Guys, keep coming in with the Eagles stuff. I know we wanted to try. Actually,
Running a
we're
little
right
late,
at the
yeah.
time. Yeah. I promise next week, guys, we will get to Sixers
We will get
talk.
the Sixers talk eventually.
The only thing I'm
We
going to say,
will.
the only thing I'm going to say on Sixers, I mean, watching JoJo, watching Ben Simmons,
Simmons.
and watching JoJo literally light the Staples Center on fire was one of the greatest things I've seen in a long,
Ooh.
possibly since that game one against LA in LA.
I gotta
It's probably
say,
the most entertaining thing I've watched
Yeah.
in Sixers basketball. In a
as
long
much
time.
as it was enjoyable in general watching JoJo and what he did, watching Lonzo Ball want absolutely no piece of Ben Simmons on that dunk.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome.
I
was
went.
great.
He
oh,
wanted
man.
nothing to do with Ben
I can't
Simmons
wait for
on
the
that play.
sequel. I'm going to the game in Philly on December 7th. I cannot wait. And I'm telling you, if Ben dunks on Lonzo, I'm running onto the court.
Love it.
But before
I'm
we
gonna
get
take
off,
you. I was gonna say I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna keep your word on that one. We're gonna have to make sure that.
I just want to give him a shout out because he did throw a few things in. Dave, I'm gonna hope I get your last name right. Dehanio Jr. He put out an Eagles chant 1 week at a time, and I want home field advantage. We all want home field advantage.
Home field.
So
That's the goal now.
You know, with that, thank you guys for participating on Facebook, participating on YouTube. Again, thank you to our guest here, Paul Hudrick.
Paulie.
Paul, you want to throw out your Twitter?
Yeah, it's just at Paul Hudrick.
At Paul
Easy as pie. HUDRICK. Is how
Yeah.
you spell the last name. And
Yeah.
and you can always check out my stuff on NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com.
He's great,
Yeah.
honestly, guys.
Paul,
I'm okay.
I learned a lot of stuff from Paulie, seriously.
Yeah.
It was great to have him
Paul
on
puts
here.
a lot of great content out there. Charles, what's your Twitter?
Chux Maranan, ChuxMaranan. And my blog, follow me. I do the weekly analysis on Ajayi now. I got a new one up for this week, chuxmaranan.blogspot.com.
Yeah, and you throw stuff on A2D. There's going to be stuff.
Oh,
put
yeah,
up
yeah.
on
I write-
A2D's website.
I write a
website
lot
as
of
well.
I write, like, I tend to do long form and unique articles, but yeah, I started writing for A2D, so check out our stuff there. A lot of great articles on A2D by everyone.
And for me, I'm on Twitter at HeelChrome, and I'll just throw it out there since Tom already mentioned it last week, and we're getting closer. There is going to be a wrestling show that I'm going to be bringing to you guys coming up. I believe December 7th is going to be the first day. So with that, you'll understand where the HeelChrome thing comes from. But with that, again, thanks to our sponsors, Gibson Mayer LLC, Certified Public Accountant, GibsonMayer.com, StreamSmart.com, ScanzanoSports.com for sponsoring our poll question. And again, from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMW of AC.com. Thanks, guys, for checking out Birds of a Feather. Thank you, Tom, for
See you
producing
next
a great
week.
show. We'll talk to you guys next week.